Alrighty, stream should be live. So welcome everybody to the 1879 actual play. I am Brad Decker. I'm the line developer of 1879. I'll be playing the character Nigel Thorn. What the hell is my last name? I can't remember. The first time I go to remember it, the first time.
Would have made it
Fullmore.
Wessington.
Oh, jeez. Where did my
It's
character
Nigel
sheet?
Fullmore.
Where did I put my character sheet now? I got so many documents up on my screen. I can't even see it now. I'm Nigel something or other. But anyway, I'll mute out here. We'll let everybody go ahead and do their intros and get the recap covered while I post the stream announcements.
Go to the Google Docs. It's at the top. Everybody's name's at the top of the Google Doc. I'll go do it.
Fullmore. That was what it was.
There you go. See, there's a reason I write that stuff down.
Yay.
Well, yeah, me too.
All right. I will go first. I'm Andi. I'm the GM. My job is to try to kill them. Mwahahahahaha.
I'm Chris. I am I've done some writing for 1879. I play a Mage's Mage, Weymont Cromwell. He is an elf, and I don't believe it's the GM's job to kill people. Just saying.
Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure I read a book and it said kill them. Muhahahahaha. Pretty sure.
Did you write that book?
No, I think it was one of those for dummies, like GMing for dummies. It was something like that.
Right. I'm Joel. I am one of the 1879 writers. I'm playing Morgana Temple Whitworth. Whether the referee tried to kill me or not, she's paying for all of the healing because she's an aristocrat and an elf, and she has an awful lot of money.
That's her shield. I have an awful lot of money.
That's
No,
how it works.
her shield would be August, which is my character. I'm Michelle. So when the ref does try to kill us, I'm the one that stands in the way currently, it seems.
Yeah.
He's actually an elf and an investigator.
And we're not sure why he keeps standing in the way of attacks.
Why do you say
We all
actually
know.
an elf like the other ones aren't?
Well,
They're not
previously
elfy enough.
it was, I used to describe him as an elven investigator, but, he doesn't investigate elves specifically. And so it was, I got called out on it a bit since. So he's actually an elf and an investigator. So there you go.
And actually an investigator. You have to just actually
Yeah.
twice. All right. So Chris, just for a joke for you.
Uh-huh.
Years and years ago, I knew this guy and we were talking about it. And this is back in the day when I was running like 8 different games, right? And I
Right.
had people who wanted to play on tables because there's always players, right? So this
Right.
guy starts telling me about what a great GM he is and all the total party kills. And I'm
What a
just
silly
blinking.
man.
And then he goes, but it's so hard to find players. How do you find players for so many tables? And I didn't say it, but probably because you scared off the other players with your total party kill glee. Like, what the freak?
Yes,
I don't know what
don't
game you're
be
playing.
an awful person to be a
Right.
GM. That's a
Don't
good
be the
tip.
world's, we'll say, jerkiest, so that Brad doesn't yell at me. GM, and maybe you won't have any trouble finding players. That is what I came up with. But it's very hard to tell people that. Like, maybe if you weren't so gleeful about killing them all, they wouldn't want to not be at your table.
Yes, well. As I said
Crazy.
in the chat, I have recently been playing Still Wakes the Deep, which is an indie horror game set in a Scottish North Sea oil rig in the 1970s. There are some premium Scottish accents in that game, and it amuses me to no end to watch all the streamers playing it and not have any idea what's going on.
Are they accurate Scottish accents or just
No.
glorious?
No, accurate, like accurate
Oh, they
Scottish
are?
accents.
So you're doing all the voices?
It's not me.
Yeah.
Yeah, good Glaswegian is
Tell that story
pretty
about someone,
impenetrable.
like, Brad, you told the story about him at Gen Con, right?
I can
With the
understand
dwarf.
Glaswegian
guy
perfectly
playing
well,
a
thank
dwarf?
you.
Who?
My grandfather was from Glasgow.
I thought it was Chris. Was that Gen Con the one year? And was late to the table?
Oh
And the
yes,
guy
yes.
was playing who was mad at your awful Scottish accent because he was already doing a Scottish accent.
Oh yeah,
That
no,
dude?
that was me. That was me.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
funny.
he wasn't mad at Chris's accent. He was just mad because he was already playing a Scottish character.
And he wanted to be the only Scottish character on the table, you see.
Oh no, Brad. He did definitely say something about Chris's bad accent. He did.
I did
We-
not
we-
say
we
that.
have-
I've never said that about when I told that story.
Not you, the dude. The guy
we
playing the
have
dwarf.
We have a friend who was over in the States playing with the SCA at one point with the Kingdom of Calontir. And they were like, oh, yeah, we really like him, but we really wish that he'd lose the cheesy Ren Fair accent. And it was just like, dude, you do realise he's actually British.
Calontir is the kingdom that I'm currently located within, I believe, technically.
Yes,
It is indeed.
It is that. Because
Yeah.
it's when he was in St.
that's Lily.
Louis. Yeah.
There you go.
I've
Yeah.
been
I've
told
been to
people
Lily's
like
he was
once.
he was living in St. Louis, but yeah, I really like the guy, but I wish he'd lose the cheesy Ren Fair accent. Dude, he's English.
See, I've been told that that people like my accent in the States.
They do. It's
I
people
confused-
who think that you're faking it because they don't know a real one. Those are the ones who tend to be.
I confused somebody in one of the supermarkets over there in Richmond when I went and wished them happy Thanksgiving. It's just like, what?
So
I
there
mean,
was.
it's not as if my accent is
right.
hard to understand anyway. I mean, mine is one of the most mild Scottish accents you can possibly
is.
think of. I mean, come on. It's not as if I'm out here saying things like stushy and cloak and stuff like that.
I
So
work with a
is it-
Scots person, and the only reason I can't understand her sometimes is because she speaks so blooming fast.
They do that in Glasgow.
So
yeah,
I'm
she's
at the.
from Summit Rose, Melrose.
Ah.
So I'm at the Walmart out here, and there's this guy, and he comes over, and apparently other people would not speak to him because he has a very British accent. It's a very UK accent, and I don't know what part of Britain.
That's
But he
need
could be
narrowed
very
down a
hard to
bit.
understand at points. But he wanted to know how big our biggest bed was. So imagine out here in the middle of nowhere, some guy with an unusual accent for the area, wanting to ask women what size the biggest bed is. Now imagine some of them looked at him strangely and walked away. But I recognize it like that as a UK accent. I don't know why he wants to know what the biggest bread is, but it's a king. Anything beyond that they do make, but it's a specialty thing you're never going to find at a Walmart.
Uh-huh.
And apparently they had rented like an RV. They're doing the Route 66, so from Chicago out to LA.
Nice.
And they thought it had a double, and the sheets don't fit. And I'm like, yeah, you want king. I'm a king. But imagine that other people just walked quickly away from the poor guy. I felt bad for him.
My favorite with Chris, though, is the other Gen Con story, which was that stupid table, the electronic table, with this.
Yes, I remember.
This dumb game. I still, to this day, have no idea. It was basically someone had set up a table with a touchscreen TV built into it, so it was like a giant tablet. And they had all these really weird touchscreens games set up on there. And there was this one that came up that was called Pirates vs. Ninjas. We start looking at this and we're like, okay, that sounds interesting. And it has this big scrolling backstory about how the pirates and ninjas were tired of arguing which one was better, so they found an island, they set it up so they could duke it out once and for all. We're like, okay, this sounds awesome. Let's check this out. And it opens up, and And it's just like this round the circle bead game where you roll dice and move your beads, that many spaces to try and get to the center. This has nothing to do with pirates and ninjas. And we have no idea what the hell's going on with it. We go there's a button that says rules. We tap the button. The very first rule says, do not read these rules. Okay, we close the rules. And didn't read any further. And then we just keep tapping around. And we finally find there's a button to pull up dice. Okay, let's tap the dice. The dice roll. And now it's somebody, I can't remember who the heck went first. But it's highlighted on somebody's side. It shows their beads and it shows where they can move. Okay, so we start moving beads around. That's all we're doing is just tapping stuff randomly because we have no clue what's happening. And it's just Chris and me playing this. We were there with other people. They show up later. There's 4 player spots. So we're like, hey, do you guys want to jump in on one of these other spots? They're like, no, we're just having fun watching you two. We've drawn a crowd as we're going through trying to figure out what the hell's going on with this thing. And I still have no idea what I did. But at some point, I just randomly tap the dice. I roll, I move the bead, and a whole bunch of fireworks and crap start going off on the screen. And it's still my turn, and it gives me the dice to roll again. Okay, I did something good. I tap the dice, I roll it again. A bunch of more fireworks go off on the screen, and I move again. It does this 3 times. I have no idea why. And Chris...
Stand in there.
Chris...
Like, did I get to play?
Chris stands up at this point. His accent is completely gone, and I can't say the actual word because of YouTube. But he just stands up and yells, "Dis some old bullcrap!" and like I said, I just love that his accent was completely gone at that point. And it's not like I did it on purpose. I don't know why it happened.
Because, Brad, you are a very lucky man. I don't even know how you win that game, but clearly you did.
Apparently. I don't know if you can consider that luck, because I don't know what happened. But anyway, back to
that's
AJ's.
definitionally luck. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to do this, but I won. That's luck. Additional. All right. Anybody want to recap?
I can do.
Oh, good. Thank you, Joe.
So we have been sent to find a young gentleman called Edward Lanky. He is a snark. He has run off to the mysterious Boojum colony that we encountered back in our first case. His parents have sent us to try and bring him back. We have promised to at least bring him back, or at least make sure that he writes regularly to keep them updated. And we've travelled to America, via New York. I had a brief encounter with the Sphinx, who liked to ask questions, and are now in an island in the Florida Keys, using fake names to cover ourselves up, and trying to find the young man in question. Morgana being in her current disguise as Miss Annabelle Montgomery, having an awful lot of social skills to go with her money, has ended up being a greeter to the island and has thus, through conversation with one of the other greeters, found out where the young man we are seeking has been assigned. Everybody else investigated, and while they didn't find leads to the young man, we are constantly looking for at least metaphorical tentacles, because none of us really trust this place. We think it might be some sort of con job.
It is too good to be true.
So far, we haven't found anything, other than the suggestions that the money is all coming from one place, but we're not sure where that place is. And I believe we were heading out to have a word with young Edward and try and sort this case out as much as we could.
Everybody seems really happy here.
Yes, and we're all a bit suspicious about that. Because we're
Too
cynical.
happy.
I mean, I was suspicious about it from the very, very get-go. Very
All
first
these people are
thing.
British. They should be miserable.
I was gonna say
Absolutely.
we're British people, and all these people are going around smiling, happy, getting along, making a society. Something's wrong here.
Yes. Very, very wrong.
Very wrong.
I will say they're not all British. There are some that seem to be very American.
Oh, okay. Well, see, it's fine for them. Maybe. I don't
Okay.
really know much about how American people act on a day-to-day basis. But no, for British people, they should be complaining about the weather. It's too hot and humid.
Yeah.
And the sea's the wrong colour.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sort of nice
clouds
grey
in the sky.
breeze.
In a utopia where they are loved and appreciated and not scorned.
That plant
Yeah,
makes me funny.
that's not going to happen.
And British people don't trust Utopia. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Are
How
you
dare
saying
the
that
sun
no
be
utopia
visible?
ever has historically worked?
There's not a cloud in the sky. I want my clouds back. Where are my clouds?
Clouds,
But I don't
clouds
want
in the
to rain.
sky. The clouds should be hanging down on the ground around us, choking us.
Also, yes.
And there's no pollution. Specifically for Londonites in this era.
Yeah.
So I think my talk at next year's Fredonia needs to be on cynicism then, right?
I kind of like the naming it Fredonia just because that's amusing as hell.
We're not cynical. We're realistic.
And that's the
Also,
biggest
yes.
cynicism of all.
All right. There's a basically a team carriage, but like a small bus-sized one that kind of makes loops to the areas that they have open and have housing and projects at. You guys can easily catch one going out towards where the young man is supposedly working.
Since we're all from
Everybody
different
goes
divisions,
together. Sorry?
Since we're all from different divisions now, isn't it going to be a bit weird if we're all together, going places?
Not necessarily. People make friends across different divisions.
Good.
I mean, it might. You guys are the boss of that. But you tell me if you all go together or not.
Well, I thought we were under the opinion that everything here was weird.
I mean, shiny, happy people holding hands.
Also having fun.
Extra points to anybody who figures out the song reference.
Oh, yeah. It's shiny, happy people having fun.
Yes.
All right, you two can have the AP. Each get 100 extra AP. You're getting my
Sorry.
sad song reference thrown in.
It's all right. It's REM. I like REM.
It's a happy REM song. It's unique.
It is.
It is.
But anyway, I should be able to go where any of the construction projects are going on to oversee stuff without drawing too much attention, whether I'm with
Easily.
people or not. However, the
Yeah,
rest
you
of y'all
could
want to
probably just
justify, you do your thing.
I was going to say, you should be able to just be like, I wanted to see how that project was going.
Well, Morgana's already established that she's a friend of the family, so it's checking on a friend.
Right. Right?
It's completely true.
And the rest of you could just want to get a tour of the area.
Yeah.
So are
And
we all
also-
going still?
And also we kind of know each other from previously, so
Yeah.
because we all came on the
Yeah.
same boat.
No, yeah. It's
There you go. So you all get on the bus together.
Wait,
Yeah.
It's not far because I mean the entire island itself is not
Huge.
it's not huge. Very clearly they're making some sort of subdivision out here. Well, let's just do perception to see who spots the Edward first. Spots the young man first.
Perception or awareness?
Or awareness, yeah.
Sure. I can see
Don't
where
forget-
awareness might count.
Don't forget to tick
whole
it off,
7.
Chris. 2d10. $11. But I'll pop it in the chat as well.
17.
I think the only one I'm missing is Chris.
Like I said, 7.
7. Okay. So Nigel, you'll spot him first. He's hauling shingles over to a ladder. Probably going to climb up the ladder.
Okay, well, I will signal to the others.
You all go and approach him. Or do you send just one person to approach? How are we doing?
Well, you don't want to scare the guy. Probably sending one person to approach is a good idea.
I think we send the social person.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want me to go?
Yeah,
Yeah.
socialite. Go, socialite.
What?
Bear with me a moment. I will just deploy a small raft of social skills. I haven't got that one yet. That's fine. Right.
This is how you know it's a fantasy game. Because we have social skills.
Hey, speak for yourself.
I was going to say, I took a lot of time and effort to learn social skills. Thank you very much. What amazes me is these people who seemingly are born knowing how to people.
Yeah,
But
that's just
apparently
rude.
Right? Like, I had to take classes and shit. How do these other people just get born knowing how to do that?
I know, it's just rude.
Thank you. I agree. First impression, gotcha. Anything else, Joel?
Yeah, just rolling conversation as well, as Morgana will step over, introduce herself. She's not going to hide the fact that she's going to introduce herself and before she drops the family bombshell. But conversation 22.
Ooh. On top of a fairly nice first impression. Sweet. All right. Morgana goes over and introduces herself as not Morgana.
Yeah, she introduces herself as Annabelle.
And he smiles because a pretty lady came over and said hi. And
Morgana
he
will
starts
smile
to
right
put his
back.
hand out, then realizes it's all sweaty and dirty from construction stuff. Kind of wipes it on his pants and tries again. It's not much better.
Yeah, Morgana will accept it. She's not wearing her best clothes today.
And he's like, well, hello, miss.
A pleasure to make your acquaintance. How are you finding life here?
Great. He seems a little, I don't want to say disconcerted, but that was, you get the feeling that he felt like that was a weird question. It's everything they said it would be.
It's and you're enjoying the work?
Perception, awareness, everybody for when he shook hands. Or I forget. And you get us 2-step up because you're right on top of him, Morgana.
12.
Ooh!
13.
Okay, my damn
Gotcha.
dice tower collapsed here.
That's probably because you tried to put D8s near it and it's been told not to let you.
Well, the problem is I can't read what it rolls, so I can't tell you if it was high or low. That was an 8 for me.
An 8? Okay. So, Annabelle, you're pretty sure that he doesn't like you. It's just a feeling you get. It's in how he's holding his face. You're pretty sure. Yeah. August, there's some bandages that you see barely peek out of his shirt when he put his hand forward.
Oh,
So Morgana, you had just asked how he liked it. He had kind of a strange look, like, why would you ask that? He's like, it's great. It's everything they said it would be. Oh, Brad, I'll come back to you on that because
Yeah, just as I put it in the chat,
technically,
I'll let you
quite
figure
a
that out
lot
later.
going on in the astral out here. Empathic sense, he actually seems to be being honest that it's great and it's everything that the brochure said it would be. You want me to hop over to Brad really quick with the astral?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just working out my next.
Because there's so many Boojums, like, statistically speaking, you have to have, I mean, you have that many people, you have adepts. Whether they all realize they are or not, you know. You're also seeing some magic-y creatures moving in the woods that have a very weird pattern that you've not seen before.
Like woods off in the distance, or if you didn't notice, you're muted there, Andy. Might be dealing with dogs.
Sorry. I forgot it was muted. Yeah, it's out in the distance past the housing. And you're only getting brief glimpses because it's kind of moving behind the trees, so. But yeah, you are going to get that there's quite statistically more adepts than usual.
Anything on our target himself?
No. So Morgana.
Yep.
Even though he doesn't like you, because you're sure of that.
Yeah.
What do you want to say next?
I was just working out that you also excuse the questioning by being, well, I arrived yesterday and I'm still trying to find my feet, as it were. I'm still not quite sure what to make of it.
I think you'll love it. I mean, just don't miss out on tonight's meeting. They do get a little fussy about that.
What sort of things they do in the meeting?
A lot of times they just talk about where we're building what. Pretty boring, actually. Something about proving we have equal voices by showing up. No.
Ah. Who leads the meetings?
Hmm. Somebody from the high ones with the black ribbons. Usually a group of them. Although I did hear they got a new guy who's going to be leading up the hospital. I wonder if he's going to speak. But he's new, so maybe not yet. I'm hoping I get put on the hospital project. And
Very
don't get me wrong,
interesting.
I'm learning a lot about how to build houses. But can you imagine helping build a hospital?
I honestly am not sure I could. I got assigned to greeting newcomers, so. And I thought, well, if I could talk to some people who've been here just a little longer, it will help me help people settle in better.
You don't look like you're construction. I mean, no offense, maybe you are. I mean, and he points out some guy who is also an elf, but is probably one of the smallest elves you've ever seen. And he's like, I mean, he's not great, but he tries really hard. He's very interested in learning, so. And you know what he's good at? He's good at the cutting. Because sometimes you have to cut stuff at an angle. And I didn't learn that in school. But he can totally cut those angles right every time. So, I mean, if he hadn't been given the chance, then who would cut our angles? Isn't that awesome?
It is.
So are you construction?
No, I'm in greeting. It's just
Oh.
taking a day to get a feel for the entire place.
It's going to get bigger. I heard we're getting easily 100 people a month.
It was quite
So that's why
impressive.
housing's so important.
Yes. I can tell from your accent you came from London too, and I know how terrible housing can be there.
I would probably never be able to not live with my mom and dad. Or I'd have to get a flat with 18 people just to make enough money to afford it. But here, they said, I mean, I don't have a wife and kids, so I'm not on the priority list, but they said they're hoping to start getting the apartments up and I can get a flat then.
Do you worry about those you've left behind?
I mean, I'm sure my mom's pissed as all can be. But I mean, I'm gonna write her. I just haven't figured out what to say other than don't be pissed.
You could always start by telling her that you've found a place where you're learning some new skills and
She won't
actually
believe me.
potential.
She won't believe me. She's convinced that no good could come of this. And I mean, look at this place. They ask you what you want to learn. They help you learn it. We're building a hospital. We've got 2 small schoolhouses already. And look, and he kind of looks around as if you should look around, but really didn't have to.
Yeah.
There's no humans. No one's calling us, names. No one's saying, I'm not getting the job because they gave it to a human.
It,
It was bad enough when you had to worry about you didn't have the right family name or whatever. Now, because I got sick, I don't get to even anything.
you got sick.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
he's pointing at himself.
Oh, the looking glass, of course. I was lucky, and my case was, I suppose, fairly mild, and my family are, well, fairly well off.
I mean, don't take it wrong, but yeah, you're an elf. And he actually kind of looks sheepish, as if that sounds bad. That's like saying, what is it? You're not allowed to say nowadays. You're passing or something like that. Like he looks rather sheepish about it, but it's like, I mean, of all the things you can get, elf was not the worst one.
I feel so. I admit I was probably born lucky.
I mean, sounds like you were good upper class family. Why are you here? I mean, most of us are here because, well, we're not from an upper class.
To find out what it's like to
To build our own society from the ground up. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know that I paid enough attention in school. So I don't feel like I'm the smartest about that part. But they want my opinion. They want me to come to the meetings. I don't really have an opinion, but they want me to have one. I mean, maybe it's different in, posh families, but I'm pretty sure my father has never wanted my opinion. And mom is happy to tell me my opinion some days. Because I'm young. And he kind of rolls his eyes because he's young.
My mother is happy to listen to my opinion and then entirely disregards it most of the time. It's
So it's just being a mum.
I think mothers are the same everywhere, and yours would greatly, I'm sure, appreciate you sending her word, saying that you've arrived safely, that you've finding a good place to be and a good place to live, and are finding yourself. It will reassure her, and she may be less angry.
He has this look, and you don't even have to roll for it. It is sheepishness. It's the, yeah, but I don't want to tell you that I basically ran away in the middle of the night and left them a note. Because that seems kind of jerkish now that I think back on it. And now I don't know what to say that doesn't make me sound like an ass. All in one look.
Morgana will pat him on the shoulder in a friendly manner. Don't worry, we've all done silly things that have upset our mothers because we needed to find our own paths. I know I certainly have.
Yeah, you're right. I should. I mean, the longer I let it set, the more she'll worry, the angrier she'll be.
Okay. And if you're making something of yourself, she'll be proud eventually, and you should write to her regularly just to keep her updated. And
they said that if I keep going like I am, I will move up a rank before a year.
That's very good.
I still can't cut those stupid angles, but other than that, I'm really good at this. Which is probably about the time that whoever was waiting on those shingles is like, dude! Or the 1879 equivalent of, dude! Probably Nate.
I'm sorry, I'm disrupting. I'm disrupting your work. I do apologize. I will see you at the meeting this evening.
Yeah. And he kind of
Just-
waves at you and then starts climbing the ladder before the other guy gets annoyed.
Yeah, I will leave him to it. So with my empathic sense, his emotions feel genuine.
Yeah.
He's not,
Not under
it's not-
any magical influence that you can find.
or that sort of feeling of
You don't feel like he's being controlled. You feel like he is genuinely happy. When
he's
you talk
genuinely
to
happy.
Nigel can tell you that he doesn't find any.
Yeah.
I don't see signs of magical compulsion. I do, however, notice something moving around out in the woods.
That's true. August, you gonna mention the bandage?
Yeah. I think he might have got into a fight or something. At some point, he had some bandages on.
On his arm
On his-
beneath the sleeve. You only saw it
Yeah.
because when he stuck his hand out to shake hands, the sleeve pulled up
Mhm.
enough that you could see it.
Possible work-related injury, since he's working construction. Would need to get a
You
better
guys want-
look at it.
You can try to get a better look at it. You can ask around, see if there's been any work-related accidents. Nigel would have a pretty easy time doing that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I could probably find that out, especially being on the hospital project. They would have medical records around.
Or simply go and ask the foreman. I'm an engineer. I was checking on this project. Have there been any accidents?
And I'm looking for people to work on the hospital.
Yes, Morgana will have mentioned he'd really like to work on the hospital, which might play into our hands somewhat.
Yes, it could. So, Nigel, you want to find somebody who looks like a foreman?
I'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, I can
Well,
probably go and do that.
do you need my help with anything, Nigel?
Why don't you go take a look over towards the woods? I wouldn't go out into them, but I'm spotting some creatures out in the distance. I think that warrants a closer look.
You mean astrally?
Yes.
Alright. I suppose I can do that.
Definitely be cautious.
Sure.
I hesitate for a little bit, but I want to ask, August, do you want to go with him?
Apologies, I missed that. I was just
I-
checking with Joel with something.
Oh, I was asking. I hesitate to ask a little bit, but do you want to go with with Chris to go check out the creatures in the woods?
Weymont. But yes.
Weymont,
Whatever,
yes.
yeah. Or whatever your silly name is for this one.
Lucius Pendleton, thank you.
That's it.
All right. So, August, are you going to go with Weymont?
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
he can only
yes, I
soak a damage.
So, do
Just-
we want
just
to
True,
do
he can
you
soak a
two
damage.
first? One whole damage.
One damage, but there's probably more than that out there.
There were several things moving. So, do you want to do those two in the woods, or do we want to do you with the foreman first?
I'm open either way.
Okay, we'll do you first. Probably makes more sense. They have to walk a little further.
That's fine.
Basically, you look for somebody with a slightly higher colored ribbon who seems to be looking at papers and directing other people. It's a good sign that that guy might be in charge. So you approach him and...
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, hello.
Hi, I will introduce myself. I cannot, for the life of me, remember the fake character name that I picked for this. Uh,
It is also on the paper. Can we find it
that's
for you?
I'm not too worried about it.
Not
I
worried about it?
because
Okay.
but
It's okay.
yes, I am working on the hospital project and just doing some research on some of the workers around. Can you tell me a little bit about the members on your team?
Oh, sure. He seems a little confused, like, why? But okay. And he starts, this is so and so, and he'll point out somebody and point out somebody else. And, this guy's really good at these things and he's learning. But he'll probably point out 10 or so people.
And does he point out our Mr. Lanky?
High or low?
Hi.
Well, yes, he does. He's learning, but he's a quick, he picks things up quickly. Definitely feels like that one's got the right head on his shoulders for this work.
All right. And how's the quality of the work been overall? Any for aside from just workmanship, any injuries, any incidents?
I mean, we've had a couple with the, you know, in the woods, but not many, and they haven't been too bad. I'm really hoping that they figure out a solution for those.
Has that been a problem of late?
It's been you must be new. It's been a problem since we got to the island.
Well, I'm meaning more than usual.
Oh, I mean, right now with this set, we seem to have upset them terribly.
Oops.
Morgana, go ahead and give me a awareness or perception. But I think the problem is that they 6, you don't see much. I think we're kind of in their space. So they're pretty agitated with us right now.
Any patterns you've noticed? Repeat offenders, anything like that? Again, just looking for, looking to get an idea of what we're going to be in for as we get moving ahead with the hospital project.
Well, I'm hoping the hospital's not in a territory that they think is theirs, because they're a bit of a problem. But I mean, I can't tell any of them from each other hardly. But no, I mean, it's not like they're picking particular guys. They're just anybody who gets too close to the woods. Preferably by themselves and too close to the woods. Cowardly creatures. Why don't we jump over to those of you close to the woods? Now, Weymont, can you astrally look? Or are you just visually?
Yes, I can astral look, being a mage.
He's the mage's mage.
I am.
Hey, Nigel had to learn. Just saying.
Yeah, I've just been, letting him astral sense all the time, just because, he needs to practice.
That's right. For you, you might want to, August, do a perception awareness roll.
I'll pop some karma into this one.
Good idea. Good idea.
Seems appropriate.
I might do the same. We'll see how my roll turns out. You can retroactively put karma into things, can't you?
I thought so.
Yeah, you can.
Yes. I think I will put some karma into that. That would be a good idea. Because that's not a lot. That is though. There we go. Very nice. 21.
Woohoo! All right. On the 21, when you get closer, so yeah, That's some weird awakened patterns that are kind of flittering from tree to tree. Like a bunch of them. Like, I mean, you're easily seeing 25 plus. They're not big. If he kind of points around at things out in the not astral, Mythras, you'll catch on very quickly that it's this kind of weird parrot. It's brightly colored. It's blue and black with red beaks.
Hmm.
Almost a
Awakened
purpley black.
parrots.
Mm-hmm. And when you pop out of the astral, I mean, they're an interesting looking parrot. Like I said, they're like a blue with a blackish, almost purple black face, but their beaks are red. And there's got to be 25, 30 of them all flittering around on this tree line, kind of agitated.
Hmm.
You see
And as you two
this?
get closer, they definitely seem to hone in on you two.
What, those parrot-like creatures that are coming towards us?
Maybe we should back off a little.
Yeah, I think so.
Come on, go in the woods. See what happens.
We are in the woods,
Go a little
just
deeper.
not as much.
Well, we're right there. Right,
Go
right
a
on the
little
edge.
deeper. You're right on the edge. Go in. See what happens.
Nah. There's no need for that.
Players are so mean. Heartless players. All right.
Besides, there's only 2 of us and like 20 of them.
Closer to 30, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, so what we've learned here is that we set the woods on fire and go away.
What we learned here is something called swarm tactics.
Yes, I am aware. So we set the woods on fire and we go away.
Chris, this is not Old Man Henderson.
Hey, Plan Z is always set it on fire. I don't care what character. It's always
You would be
Plan Z.
amazed. You would be amazed at how many things fire solves.
I'm
am
not
not.
saying it wouldn't be effective. I'm just saying it's not the best idea. Because
Yes,
there's
it
a lot of other
sometimes is.
problems.
Look. Bunch of giant spider webs in the woods, and they're getting worse. Set that shit all on fire. Like, look, I've had this. No, I'm telling you. Fire's an awesome solution sometimes.
Like
I have been a player.
you cause
Fire.
a forest fire, but it'll grow back.
I mean,
Eventually.
cleansing fire.
Most forests have to be like burnt down once in a while, every so often. It's healthy for it. Just saying. Not that I'm encouraging fire as the solution, but just saying it's not the solution.
I'm only joking, of course. We're not going to immediately set the forest on fire.
You're
because
terrible.
Well, we're still in it.
Yeah, we're still in it, for one.
Because fire on yourself sucks. Fire over
Yeah.
there, good.
At least not until we start spotting ugly Goram poodles.
All right. Do you have any other questions, Brad, for the one guy?
No, just kind of getting the basic, exchange basic pleasantries and that sort of thing, and the basic talking shop that doesn't really amount to anything, so he doesn't get suspicious of anything.
Nope. Perfectly good then. I think the big takes is apparently there's something in the woods that is agitated by them building here.
I knew it couldn't be simple. It had to be parrots.
You guys wanted awakened parrots. I was sure of it.
Should be bunnies, surely.
I already did bunnies and Earth Dawn.
No.
Fair enough.
This is tropical. It's parrots.
That's true. It is also tropical. Like, I don't
Fair.
believe that islands could have had bunnies unless they came over on a ship. I could be wrong, but I don't think they naturally had bunnies.
No, they wouldn't.
Oh, shit, a harmless wee bunny.
That was terrible, Brad.
I know it was. It was intentionally terrible.
A harmless
So-
wee rabbit.
My boss is called Tim, and he's a massive Python fan. And I nearly bought him a Tim the Enchanter T-shirt for the Secret Santa the other year.
My name is Tim.
You should have. You should have.
I think I will if I pull his name out of the hat again this year.
Good plan. So you guys regroup and head back on the bus? Look around some more? What are we doing?
So, we'll regroup and I will approach Nigel and say, okay, so parrots.
Oh, lovely.
Lots. And lots of parrots.
Just to be clear, we're talking colourful birds that can talk?
Well, I mean, these ones are definitely magically awakened, so maybe they can talk.
From what I gather, speaking with the foreman, they're not so much interested in his talk as they are in attack. At least when you're in isolated groups.
That tracks with what we figured.
Yeah, they were approaching us. We left the forest kind of quickly, though.
Oh, good. We don't need to set off an incident.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah. Odd.
So, they're building into these creatures' territory, it seems.
Yeah. It's not a good idea, but, I guess they have to?
I wonder if those are the only critters out there.
I mean, absolutely not. Like, it's the jungle,
Well,
basically.
the only critters that are going to be a problem, let's say.
Again, probably not.
How complete
Not
are
to
the
be a
maps?
party pooper, but I completely agree with him on probably not.
Well, I was already leading into that. How complete are the maps that I have access to of the island?
Pretty complete. I mean, there's some deeper parts in the middle that they don't seem to have explored very well yet, and a few other pockets.
I believe last time I was actually using my connections with the local military force to, look into records on what Gribblies there could be on the island. What did they
Actually,
have
that's
to
an
say?
awfully bad idea, because if they're going to have more problems with this and they are awakened, they are probably going to want to assign the magical military people to deal with it. So it's not a bad price to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it last time just because, well, I wanted to know in case anything was going to jump on top of us. I thought that was just sensible.
And I'm still wondering at the pattern that I was spotting with the construction.
Oh, did you guys discuss that last time? Because I
We
remember
did.
you did see. Okay.
There was a pattern, and we couldn't figure out what it was, and I was asked to go and do some research into it, but we haven't really had time for that yet.
No,
Yeah,
not yet.
No, but I'm wondering if it might be related to what we're spotting with the woods. I wonder, since there's enough energies here for these animals to have been affected, how would this island lay out within the global patterns? Are we on like a ley line?
That's a really good question, Mr. Nigel. How
Is
we're
that
going
what
to
I'd be able to
find
hear?
out.
Well, I would have heard of ley lines and that sort of thing. I wouldn't have as much practical knowledge because I don't have magic theory. But I'm posing the question openly so that hopefully Weymont can pick it up.
Yes. Weymont does have magic theory. Weymont would need to see a map. Do we have a map?
I can get maps.
Okay. Furnish me with a map and I'll let you know.
So you guys head back to where you guys had been, which is kind of the main opening port,
Yeah.
so that you can get a hold of maps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm
Yeah.
going to be able to take their copies of them, but I could eidetic memory and then recreate them.
Touch it out. You'd probably be surprised at how easily you could take a copy, though. I mean,
Alright,
if you
well,
were going to work on it.
well,
They seem to be, I don't want to say that they come off naive, but they seem to be very trusting of everybody.
well, if they're not going to stop me, then yeah, I'll just go ahead and take
The
one.
most that'll happen is they'll be like, "Where are you going with the map?" And you go, "Oh, I'm working on stuff." Okay, well, remember to put it back. They get really mad if things aren't in place when they look for them.
Well, I will still take the time to do an eidetic memory on it in case I need to recreate it later.
Okay. Perfectly valid.
So
Yep.
let me. Okay, I got a double roll up on that, so 15 total. I'm assuming that would beat the difficulty of memorizing the map.
Yeah, as long as you're not going like crazy. Like I want to memorize all of the little lines on. Yeah, you're fine. What you need, you're more than.
Yeah, so okay, so I
Because
have the
really,
map
for ley
established.
lines, what you need is it's positioning mostly towards other things,
Yeah,
so that he
so
can see.
yeah, I don't need to memorize everything's name. I just need to remember the lines on where everything is.
Yep. So you want to show that to Weymont,
Yes.
who's going to do a magical theory, trying to see if he can figure out if ley lines are involved.
Yes. Is this a roll you would like me to make just now?
Yeah.
I will do this thing then. One moment,
Okay.
please. Let's see. Magic theory is 2d8 just now. Man, my dice are really teeny tiny. I need to fix that.
Well, just don't use
Well,
Brad's theory.
you've got Gen Con coming up.
Not the physical dice, I'm talking about my dice pools.
Oh, right. Sorry. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. I thought he meant physical dice.
I mean,
I
regardless,
lo-
picking up more dice at Gen Con is probably a good idea. Because it's
mean, that
always a
is
good
a thing.
idea.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing that's going to happen. I mean, I will obviously get the Gen Con commemorative dice. I do that every time I'm in Gen Con.
I never buy dice ever. I have no idea.
16.
Ever, ever,
Never
ever.
happened. 16.
16.
Why? Well, yeah. Not only is there one ley line, there are actually 2 ley lines that go through this island.
Look at that. 2 ley lines crossing over.
Oh, goody.
Just assume. If you could talk to me, explain this, why this is significant to us if I was someone who didn't understand magic at all. Could you?
If you didn't understand magic at all, you know that it exists, right?
Yes.
All right. So think. Right. How can I explain this to someone who is a complete layman? Right. So if you think of the planet like a living thing, ley lines would be the magical equivalent of its veins, essentially. You can do lots of powerful magic when you're on a ley line. Put it that way.
So that might have influenced the choice of this island?
Oh, most definitely.
Most certainly, especially with what they're doing with the construction. They're planning to channel something.
Yes, I mean 2 ley lines crossing over is that's quite powerful. That is.
Do we think that whoever's behind this is trying to exploit that power? Or just decide it's the best place to build themselves a
All right, let's have a little
base of
think.
operations?
Let's have a little think to ourselves then. Why would someone want to build on 2 ley lines specifically? With a circle that is, with a arrangement of buildings not unlike the arrangement of buildings we looked at before. Is this ringing any bells to me in a magical sense?
Not only that, don't forget that they're also concentrating boojums together.
Yes, lots of people with magical heritage.
Do you
In a
want to roll a
spot.
magical theory on that question?
I do, in fact.
Oh. Well.
And I'm gonna put some karma in this as well, because I figure I'm gonna need like 50 or something.
At least 52.
God
No,
dang.
just 42. Just the meaning of life.
That's not a bad roll. But I'm gonna put karma on it anyway, because I know what you're like.
I'm nice. I'm the nicest GM ever.
Chris is going to roll his Unravel the GM's Plan skill.
Uh-oh.
Well, put it this way, I have rolled 3 dice so far. 2 d8s for my regular stat and 1 for my karma. And so far I've got an 8, a 6, and a 3.
I told you not to touch his D8s. Don't touch
Oh,
Brad's D8s. They're
He's not
naughty.
touching my D8s. We're across the planet from each other.
That's
True.
what you claim.
I would have to be some kind of wizard to do that.
I mean,
Exactly.
he'll be here on the 20th, but that's
Right,
a ways
okay.
away.
So that's 10. And 10 plus 3 is 13. And 13 plus 8 is 21.
21.
And 21 plus 8 is 29. And 29 plus 4 is 33.
That's pretty high.
So he actually came pretty damn close to 42.
It's
Wow.
not 42.
But you came pretty damn close.
It's pretty close. So, there's a lot of things that could be done with that much power and with basically using buildings as possibly a pattern. It could be used for protection. It could be used for control. There's a lot of things you could do with it. If you knew the intent, it would make it pretty easy to tell what they were doing with it. But
So we don't know what they're doing. We just know that they're doing something crazy powerful.
Throw this
But-
into the mix. They seem to be taking an awful lot of effort, or putting an awful lot of effort into keeping everyone happy and positive and involved. They're really trying to boost the positive aspects of the astral energy here.
Well, yeah, that's true, but I mean
August?
that.
But throw that
August?
into the mix.
August,
Mm-hmm.
what was
Yes,
that like accounting-esque stuff that you have?
Knowledge finance and knowledge law.
Do
And
knowledge
that's what-
finance.
Step 8. Because it's a free skill, no comma, so you get what you get, I'm afraid. Although my dice like me. Joel, do you want to come through and actually witness this?
No, I don't need you to have him witness it. I believe you, Michelle.
I think it's more just, hey, come check this out.
Oh,
That's
dude,
level 6.
So I was running a game, and it's mostly online. But if people are nearby, they can stop in, and we'll play here, right? So the
And-
one
and
guy
level
Dave had
6.
7 crits, 7 freaking crits that night. 7. All right, sorry, you got a what?
21
21.
on 2d6.
Dawn's on you. And it's kind of an odd thing, but you know how you were pondering the single payer, right? And looking at all the bills. If you were going to pay people to do all this work, it would quadruple easily, if not quintuple, the cost of building all of this. And I'm going to give you this one. People who are happy in their jobs work harder and more diligently. People who think they're doing something for a cause work harder and more diligently.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to throw that out with your 21.
I see. See, that's
What
just
you're saying is
competitive.
this isn't a cult, this is a common job for cheap labour.
But they actually seem genuinely happy from what you've just said.
Well, yes. This means we need to work out who's in charge and stop them being in charge and just leave people here to do it as best we can.
If you stop the big in charge, then the money quits coming in for them to do the stuff. I'm not
When
I'm
people
not trying
stop
to
being
throw a bunch of
happy and
things at you, but and again, without some direction on and some research into what that pattern might actually mean, because you don't know the whole of it. You just know that what they're building appears to look like a pattern. You don't know. I mean, could that be to increase happiness? Could it be a protection spell? Right? There's a few things that it could be. But yes, it is pretty clear that this is deliberate. And yes, it's pretty clear that whereas it may or may not be a cult, it is definitely cheap labor for whatever someone is planning. And you could indeed go and find the top person and try to get them to stop sending money.
Okay, got an idea. So I'm put on the hospital project, and they're still trying to figure out where to place it, correct? They haven't locked that down?
No, they've got a couple, 3 places that they're looking at, but yeah.
Okay, so they've already got potential sites.
They have potential sites, but they haven't locked down exactly which site. Because they seem to be very, like, it's going to be the main hospital, so they kind of want it near the main port. But there's another site that would be a good site just simply because it's got a nice rock bedding under, and you don't have some of the problems with some of the sand shifting issues. But there's also another site that's near where these guys are. One, unfortunately, you might realize that the birds are an issue, but they're going to be building in a lot of stuff there. So there is a question of which is the best site for it.
Looking
Because they
at
can
how
build.
at the potential positions for the hospital and where it would lay out with those sites, does that eliminate any possibilities as far as what they might be up to?
No, because the building itself, like if they put the building in one spot, they can build something else in a different spot and continue the pattern. The type of building doesn't seem to affect the pattern.
Hmm.
Would it
But
help if we just sort of laid out and
how about
drew
this?
the circle?
If you were to draw the ley lines out, which you have kind of, you maybe don't want them drawing on that map, so that Eidetic memory might come in handy.
Yeah, no, I can map all that so that we can do that. Also, I had to
Yeah.
step away
So
for
if you
just a second. I got the audio on, so I can still hear. I'll be right back.
I was gonna say if you draw out one and then have Nigel draw the ley lines, that may or may not mean something, but it's something you could try.
Well, I'm all for trying things. Let's do that then.
Well, I think Batsy's decided to stay with me. But so you guys are drawing this out when
Yep.
Nigel comes back and then the ley lines?
Yep.
So we will say Nigel draws it well enough. You'll notice that all 3 positions actually put the hospital on one of the ley lines.
The hospital, specifically.
Well, it's not the 3 points that they were talking about, all 3 points are on a ley line. And if you look at the rest of the buildings, a lot of your, like the fire department building is on a ley line. The military complex building is on a ley line or down close. The hospital would be, the schools are.
So they're all
So a lot
along
of
this
people,
ley line, basically, is what you're saying.
all of the important, not so and so's house buildings seem to be being put on or near ley lines. I mean, even the port itself is basically on a ley line.
Interesting. So I still feel like we need more information as to why. But whatever they did would affect all these places.
It's a good working theory.
So after
Now,
all
what
that
do you guys?
research, we know that something is going on.
Well, but here's the thing. I didn't think you guys would check the ley lines. So, good job.
I mean, it's good to be sure that, like, 100% sure that there is something going on.
Sorry, I'm back. What's the cross point of the ley lines?
That is in one of those middle areas that the maps don't show. That apparently they're working towards. But they
Maybe we
haven't
should
gotten
go
fully
and
Aristocrat.
explored.
investigate that area.
and get eaten by parrots.
Well, interestingly enough, because the ley lines cross over there, that could be the reason for the presence of the parrots at all, as to why they're awakened.
Sure. Blame the ley lines.
That is generally what we do, yes.
I believe that is the British magical tradition.
Right?
So, what are you guys doing with the rest of your day? And are you all going to the meeting that night? Because
think
now
we
that you
should
know
go to
about
the
the
meeting.
meeting, you definitely see that there's like calendars up in your buildings that have it marked, and all of them are marked the same. You know, civic meeting. Please go to your nearest, city hall, whatever building. Because not everybody's going to fit in one. So, and the people who are in the little outlying communities aren't expected to come all the way back into the port.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we need to be at the meeting and we need to arrive separately.
Is Edward likely to be at the meeting at the port or a more outlying one?
He's more likely to be at the outlying one.
Do you want us to go to
How?
that outlying meeting individually?
I was possibly thinking I could go to the outlying meeting, listen in, and then we could come reconvene and compare notes and see how the different meetings were.
Sure. You think they'll be different?
Well, if they
Well,
were
there'll
going to
be
be the
different people at the
same,
meetings.
if they're going to be the same, they'd put them in the same place.
Well, not necessarily. People are like further out, you know?
Yeah, the people are farther out, and we have it, and then you have to be able to have a building big enough for everybody, which gets hard. So, whereas it could be nefarious somehow, there's also a perfectly good explanation of they'd have to bus these people into the port, which would be taxing, and on top of that, you'd have to have a building big enough for everybody, and there are several thousands of people out here now. So having a building big enough, I mean, you basically are talking about a convention center.
They don't have to have a building. They can just gather everyone outside. It's the tropics.
Yes, but this isn't Glastonbury.
Why is Coldplay even a thing?
Why is Coldplay a thing? Because bands, they play music.
Yeah, but do they? Do they really?
Do they?
Sorry, it was a question that my friend asked yesterday.
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes. I'm gonna say yes to that
She's a
question.
DJ. She's a DJ. She should know the answer to that one.
Yeah, I know.
So Morgana is going by herself to the one outlying community,
I do not
and the rest of you
believe.
are going to the regular one at the harbor.
I don't think that any of us should go by ourselves.
No.
So August, the bodyguard, will go with Lady Morgana.
Only if she wants his company. Weymont could go instead, or Nigel.
True, like I said, Weymont can in fact soak a
He
damage.
can soak a damage.
There you go. So you pick who you want.
Whoever is positioned closest to that one, I think, should go along with. That would raise the least amount of suspicion.
Honestly, You want my opinion? Or are you going to go with your own opinions? I would say the least suspicious is probably Brad, since he was talking to the foreman and stuff.
Yeah, so if I'm the least suspicious, that's fine.
I know. I mean, I'm not so sure. I mean, that just would be my top thought process. But
Who do you think
I'm
would be the
open to other
most
processes.
suspicious?
I mean, even okay. So, but Nigel isn't, or not. Weymont's not that suspicious either. You were out there not that long ago. You're with the military group, the Magic military group. You might be out there to hear if they talk more about the parrots.
Evil parrots.
August, who is, at least somewhat magically not really at all married, but according to one little lady, married to Lady Morgana, could go as, arm candy. I mean, you guys can make a good reason for any of these. I'm just saying.
I think Morgana's prettier than August.
Yeah. Yes, but Morgana might need arm candy.
I mean, Morgana might need arm candy. That's a thing.
That's true. I mean, can't argue with that.
No.
I think taking one of the mates, so there's a mage and a non-mage in each meeting, is probably the best way to divide our forces.
Yeah, probably be able to split so we can both astral sight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nobody needs to astral sight. Not
Well,
really.
apparently, according to Nigel, he needs to just be in astral space all the time.
He lives there until that day when the bad, creepy thing finds him. Then he never goes there again.
I'm never in astral space. I'm just looking at it.
Yes, but sometimes things look back. When they do, you should run. I'm just saying. I'm just going to throw that out there. In astral space, if the things look back, you should go.
Magic ain't high enough for that yet, and you know.
That's when I throw lightning bolts at it.
And run. I've played enough. I've read through the books enough. Trust me. If it starts looking back at you, you should probably leave. No good comes of that. It's not like it's ever happened where and then they handed you cookies. No. No.
You know, why can't the big bad astral baddies just hand us cookies?
Well, because
they all
they're
gotta
bad.
be jerks.
Well, it might not be so bad. It could be like, I don't know, a hilarious named spirit. Like that one. From the other Hearthstone game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the wonderful spirit of the grandma you never had, because this one bakes cookies every time. I'm sure
I am gonna write up a fae character that just wants to make friends and give people cookies, but nobody trusts it because it's a fae, and he's just sad all the time.
And it goes by Cassandra, because no one ever believes her. All right, so who's going with Morgana?
I think it probably would make sense then for me to go with Morgana, so we have the astral split.
So you two, and then August is with Weymont.
Which is like a banana split, but magical.
Whose meeting are we doing first?
That, I think, is dealer's choice.
Arbor it is. All right, it's pretty crowded, and it makes it muggy. I will say, however, as it starts to get like kind of almost unbearable, it doesn't take you long, Nigel. I'm not even that you don't have to hop into astral. You see someone make weird motions and say some weird words, and like they created little ice crystals or a little frozen water, cold wave, whatever, in front of the fans so that it kind of swept through and it was like a cooling for everybody. And it was very much a use of magic openly. You'll also notice that nobody blinked over it. Nobody questioned it. Nobody looked. They're just like, oh, yeah, that's, Sheila. And Sheila does that so that we're not unbearably hot in this thing.
That's
But it's
Sheila,
all
our air conditioning unit.
That's Sheila, the air conditioner. Look. This room gets unbearable if not. But no, the interesting thing probably is the fact that nobody blinks about it. Nobody questions it. And every so often, Sheila seems to cast whatever this kind of icy hands or whatever in front of the fans so that it doesn't get unbearable in the room because it's pretty crowded. Eventually, you get 4 or 5 people, all of them with the black upper level ribbons, and they come out. They seem to all be from different branches. Like, one seems to be an engineer, one seems to be possibly their military. One seems to be one that you're not sure what the symbol is. Your guess would be maybe education, and then I don't remember. The 4th one is some sort of, possibly construction or even the, greeters group. And, they kinda settle in and everybody kinda settles down, and they're like, "Okay, guys, let's get the meeting started." And if people are still talking too much, they might, like, rap a gavel just to get people's attention, but pretty low key. And then they start, and they seem to have an agenda that they're going through, and it seems to start with, how do we feel population is going? Is it too many too quickly? Are we okay with our rate? Do we think we can get the houses built in time? And the engineering department's like, well, if we can clear out these last few houses and get to the apartments, we'll be okay. If not, we might need to consider slowing down taking in people until we can get to the apartments. Otherwise, housing is going to become a mess. And the greeters seem to be like, yeah, but we're getting so many more construction people. Will that help? And they'll have this conversation for a few minutes, and then they open it up to the floor for people to have opinions on. Most of them seem to think the more the merrier because they seem to have this feeling that you're saving people from being ridiculed and treated poorly outside of the community. There's a few people who are like, yeah, but if we bring it too quickly, they won't have a place to stay. And then who's happy with not having a place to stay? One of the good reasons to get out of London, for an example, is the overcrowding and not having a place to go. Other people are like, even if I took in a whole other family, I'd still have more space than I did back in London. And if it gets more people out, I'd be willing to take in another family. So you have a few naysayers, a few positive B people. It seems to land more on the positive note. I don't suppose either of you guys want to say anything.
Yeah, I'm
Not-
keeping quiet at this point, just observing.
Yeah.
I think Morgana is keeping quiet because
Well,
she's
let me
probably
know.
asking too many questions.
Then there's some discussion on the military, which they talk about it as a defensive force. In case, like, there seems to be this sort of fear that, like, the British government's going to come over and try to, oh, and now you're a colony, and that they will not stand for that.
To be fair, that does sound like something the British could come
I
up with.
was say that's never happened before.
I had this
Rude.
discussion with somebody the other day, and I'm like, well, why would such and such country do that? Because they want what the other country has. Expansionism. Well, yeah, but they have to have a better reason than that.
No, they don't.
No. Historically,
Do you have
traditionally, no, they don't.
Do you have a flag?
Yeah, do you have
No
a
flag,
flag?
no
It's like-
country.
I mean,
No flag,
seriously.
no country.
So,
Here's a question, actually. Right?
oh, there you
do
go.
they?
That's another great discussion that they have. So after the military one, which seems to be mostly on how much should we emphasize on a magical, and they seem to be very pro a magical military. Matter of fact, they seem to be like, can we have an all magical military? And the answer is no, because not everybody knows magic. But they're very pro this because they think it'll give them a leg up in combat if it ever came up if they had a lot of magic users.
Right. I have a question. Do they have a division for magic that is not military?
As in, like, we're just magic users?
Yes, as in we are magic. We do magical research, that kind of thing.
Sort of. So the one that you didn't recognize but you think is education, there is actually a group under education where they
Right.
do things like magical research and things like that.
Might want to talk to them later.
You might. So they talk about the military, they talk about housing, they talk about the flag. Like, okay, guys, we really need to decide on a flag. The other countries won't respect us as a country if we don't have a flag. Apparently, it's important.
Sure.
So they've apparently have decided that it's narrowed down to 2 designs. And the next meeting, they want to vote so they can start putting it on, patches and on, have flags up and things like that.
Okay.
That seems to be most of the meeting. But it seems to go on the same type of pattern. Here is a topic. The upper people kind of banter about the pros and cons of different things. They open it up to the floor. And then there's some sort of vote. It seems to be a hand count vote. All those for, all those against type of thing. Even if the all those for, all those against is things like, are we okay with doing this next meeting where we're going to vote? Yays.
Oh wow, now that's government.
Yeah.
Let us vote on where we should vote next time.
Anybody who knows Robert's rules for Robert's rules of so you have to be seconded and they're very loosely using that though.
Parliamentary procedure?
Yes. But they are loosely using it.
I mean, fair enough.
Oh, Joel. Funny. So anybody who listens, Joel put one of the fossil logos in for the flag for apparently Fredonia. Boojum Society of Fredonia. It's almost piratey. I kind of like it for the flag. I'm just saying. But, okay.
That flag should be for the Aerospace Agency as and when the nation gets one. But, it could be based, elements from that flag could be the central idea for the main flag. Not that Morgana is working on trying to design a flag.
There you go. When they get past the things on their agenda, they open up the floor for, questions, comments, concerns from the populace. And some of those things they're like duly noted because it affects one person and doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. Other things they're like, oh, we should maybe talk about that. Let's see if we can put that on the agenda. Just kind of depending on what the item is and how big of a concern. For those of you at the Harbor main one, doesn't seem to be all that much. For those of you at the other one, pretty much all the other stuff happened basically about the same. It's the same. They get it kind of everyone calm down. they get some 4 or 5 black ribbon guys up there, or girls, people, humans. No, not humans. Boojum. And they discuss the same exact topics that the first group did. And same pattern. They kind of talk about it for a few minutes, then they open it up to the floor. Then there's usually some sort of vote. Sometimes that vote is, we'll talk about it next time. Sometimes that vote is, whatever. But it seems pretty laid back. When, however, this group gets to the questions and comments, somebody wants to know what's going to be done about the bloody parrots. And then there's also a concern about the monster in the woods. Okay, well, now the monster in the woods is not confirmed. Okay, then who killed so-and-so? We don't know for sure. It technically could have been the parrots. We can't tell. We're still trying to look into that. We're not saying there isn't, because we all know we haven't explored all of the woods. But we should probably focus on the parrots because, well, we know about the parrots and we can see the parrots. And they're becoming more aggressive here.
That's where somebody
So
pipes
now
up and
there's a
goes,
whole bunch.
I'm new here. Why didn't nobody tell me about no monster and no woods?
Morgana's not going to do that, but is going to note who brought it up as someone to go and talk to after the meeting.
All right. So
With
Nigel,
all of those same words.
sorry, so Weymont does ask, why didn't anyone tell me about this monster?
Can like as someone who is in the military division, can someone explain to me about this monster in the woods?
Oh,
Is that the meeting Weymont went to? I thought that was me and Nigel were at the one out of town.
Oh yeah, yours didn't talk about this. The out of town group did.
Ah, fair enough.
Sorry. Morgana has a point. You're not there. But so Morgana has marked down who to talk to. And I will say, they are not naysaying this person. They're saying, but we don't have enough information on that to give you any. But we do know the parrots are a problem. You actually have people who are like, yes, but we're invading their habitat. And then there's other people who are like, they're bloody birds.
Would
Literally
somebody think of the
birds.
parrots?
You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
You weren't there. So there does seem to be some discourse on trying to find a more humane way or trying to annihilate these birds. And the educational person is kind of very opposed to annihilating them because you don't know. Like, they're like, we know that these birds, like we, are not the same as they were before. But we don't know why. We don't know how. This is a great opportunity to study. And then someone else from the construction type department's like, study them. Our men our men and women are being injured while they're trying to build the housing. Keep 3 in a cage if you want, but this has got to stop. So there's some debate about how to deal with this. Like, would sound get them scared away? Construction people basically laughed at that. They're like, if our noise doesn't scare them away, no noise will. Which isn't necessarily true, but that's their opinion. They want the military to come in and destroy the birds. The education department's like, wait a minute, but we could possibly learn something from the birds. So there does seem to be some discourse on that. And even in the comments on this section, there's, like most things that are somewhat complex question, the answer isn't as straightforward as kill them all. But you do see the gauntlet from kill them all to, oh no, their life is precious and they were here first. You got the whole spectrum. That's probably the only other big thing that happens at yours that doesn't happen at the other one. Is this discussion about the birds and the quote monster in the forest.
Do we worry that the big monster in the forest, the big thing in the forest, is in fact a big bird?
It's possible. You have to go out and look or talk to some people. I mean, there are now dinosaur people, so terror birds is not necessarily out of the question. And if you ask me, probably the scariest thing out there ever is terror birds.
They're
You have basically giant chickens that can kill you that are as smart as, oh, right, a chicken. That are big enough that they can just eat your head.
As creatures that have actually shared the planet with the same time as humans, they are a pretty good competitor on that front.
I mean, Australia lost to emus, and the emus aren't even killer birds.
Twice.
China lost to sparrows. Birds win wars. So this is the truth. But
Yes, they're just angry. That's all.
referencing those wars would be anachronistic, so we can't.
Look, birds are not super bright, and they tend to be aggressive. They really actually do. People don't think about it, but they really actually do. So far, the stupidest one, never had this living in a smaller city, but still a city. I'm driving on the back roads, right? And I stop because there's this giant bird in the road over some dead carcass. It's a big owl. And I kid you not, this owl started to poof up, spread its wings, try to make itself look big. And I'm like, are you fucking challenging my car? It's a car. You're a bird.
Owls are stupid.
Like, why are you challenging my car? What is wrong with you? This is not happening. We are not doing this.
Yeah,
Go
but
away.
Listen.
it's a
That owl will
barn
have you.
owl. It's a barn owl, so it's trying to transform into its barn form.
I guess. But if you would have told me, 5 years ago that an owl would challenge my car, I would be like, are you crazy or stupid? Because why would that ever be a thing? And then it happened, and so apparently it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It did finally go away, but I'm like, what are you supposed to do? Because I don't want to hit the owl, because I don't want to damage my car, and I really actually don't want to kill the bird. But, like, I guess I just sat there honking my horn until it went away.
Eventually, the owl
I
realized
don't know what
the
else
car
to
didn't
do.
give a hoot.
No, it was good. That was worth at least 50 AP, right? Like it was worth 50. I'm saying. I liked it. So
The only bad pun is the one you don't say.
yeah. So on a more practical thing, anybody doing anything at the meetings I should know about?
Morgana will approach after the meeting the person who brought up the monster in the woods to ask if you would care to give tell a newcomer about these things.
Oh, would she ever? You get the feeling she likes to kind of tell tales, gossip a bit. Now, she tells it as her friend, who you get the feeling at best would be a friend of a friend. At best.
Yeah.
But basically was scouting farther into the woods. Because they keep trying to get scouts to go. Now, she's implying that a lot of scouts never come back. A few people who over here are kind of side-eyeing that may be a bit of an exaggeration look going on. Not that they're going to deny that people have gotten and haven't come back. Like, it is not somebody actually will jump in probably, because that happens. It's like, come on, they're scouts. They knew that it was a risk. They know that we don't know everything. They knew about the parrots. So there was always a risk. But they're not being careless. They don't just send anybody in there willy-nilly. Guess which group River would be with if she was But, you know. So, but they're defending the budding country. I forgot. So basically, the general gist is that this scout went and he made it back, but it was a just barely made it back, and he wasn't savable, and he was all torn up, like something had, torn him asunder. She thinks that the upper people are just trying not to scare everybody while they figure out a plan, which is making her unhappy, which is probably one of the first unhappy people you've met. Because if she wanted a country to lie to her, she could have stayed and name any other country you want. From the beginning of time forward, name any country you want. They all lie to the populace. And she expected better here. And somebody else is like, or, hear me out, they're telling the truth. They don't know exactly what happened. It's not like they denied it happened. They just said they don't know exactly how it happened yet. And since then, no scouts allowed out by themselves. They had to take at least 1 to 3 military people with. We voted on that.
Oh.
So they're not hiding it. It's not the same. I mean, all places are going to have problems. We just happen to have some weird monster in the woods problem. Somebody else basically says, yes, and London has a giant disc to another planet. That seems like a bigger problem than a monster in the forest. Any questions that you guys want to ask?
Nothing particularly, because it sounds like we haven't got anything other than rumours, even amounting to a description that we could then, try and identify.
The best is that they were clawed, although technically several beak strikes might look like a claw mark without someone knowledgeable looking at it. You know that they have told the populace knows about it. And apparently there was some sort of vote to help try to keep scouts safer by making it so that they had to take somebody military with them. Which seems reasonable enough. You guys catch a bus back to the harbor. You guys all want to meet back up?
Yep. Yep, compare notes.
And then Weymont can finally ask, why did nobody tell me about no monster in the woods?
A monster? In the woods?
Apparently, or it may just be a lot of the parents. It's hard to say.
I mean, it could be either, to be honest. Remember, we're on ley lines, so anything could have awakened out there. There could be a awakened tiger in that woods, for all we know.
I'm pretty sure tigers are mostly Asiatic rather than living in the Americas. Would it be something more like a puma?
Sure. All right, a puma.
An
A big
awakened
cat.
puma.
Babu!
Ooh, no, that'd be an awakened ocelot.
True.
Or, there was a sphinx back in New York. It could be some sort of awakened legendary creature. Maybe there's like a basilisk out in the woods or something.
Or a griffin.
Or a griffin.
Be careful what you wish for, dear.
Or a manticore, or any one of those legendary creatures.
Or velociraptors, because it's almost always velociraptors. Except it's
Sure.
not. Except for
Dinosaurs.
in the movie
Why
where
not?
they claimed it was velociraptors and it wasn't. Those are like Utah raptors. But besides the movies, it's always
The,
velociraptors.
the technical term for
Raptors.
velociraptors in 1879 is borogroves.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that because of where we are, and because of the density of magic around here, it could be literally anything.
That's very reassuring.
But I do
You
want to go and
misused the
talk with
word
their.
reassuring.
I do want to go and talk with their quote-unquote education division to ask them about the ley lines because they must know. They can't not.
So the next morning you want to go find the education department and find the magical grouping in there.
Yes, the easiest way to get information I have often found is just to ask. Because even if they don't tell you the
Enough,
truth,
yes.
you can tell that they're lying.
I will say that if you ask simply like, how do I find this? People will tell you. They don't seem to be as a whole hiding anything. So they have no problems telling you that go that way. So you get over there, and even within it, you can be like, I was looking for someone who knows something about magic.
Yep.
They can see that you're a part of the magical military because you got a thing, right?
Got a little badge.
You got your little badge. And they're like, well, sure. You probably just have some sort. They don't think anything of it. You're in the magical military. You want to ask a magical person? Okay, sure. And you get shush right through. And there's like 6, 7 people in this room, all piled up with books everywhere, seemingly reading different books, occasionally asking questions back and forth, where either they have an answer or they say, have you tried this other book?
How
Bring them tea, because why
did they
not?
look older, or did they look like just a bunch of kids basically playing at magic?
A little bit of both. But keep in mind, magic's only existed for a few years, so it doesn't matter if you're old or young.
I mean, this is true.
Unless there's a sneaky immortal elf hiding in the group.
Could be. You never know.
You never know. That happens sometimes. But beyond that, magic for everybody's only been a few years.
Right. So anyway, I'm gonna go and find someone who looks like they know what they're doing.
Okay.
And
They all
I
look
am
like they know what they're doing, but all right, you pick one.
right. Pick a guy who looks like he knows what he's doing. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Lucius
And
Pendleton.
then kind of looked confused for a second, like, hello. But wait, why is there someone here? But he doesn't say that part out loud. He just has to look.
Lucius Pendleton. I'm from the magical military branch.
Oh, yes. Did you have questions?
Well, yes. Specifically about the birds at the center of the island.
Oh, I thought you guys were handling those.
More or less, yes. But I just wanted to ask you: did you know that there's a couple of ley lines crossing this island?
Yes.
So I was thinking that they might be related to the birds in some way. And I wanted to ask about them.
Well, somebody else jumps up with, told you. Okay, it's still just a theory. It's a theory. We haven't proven that.
And what's your theory?
Well, her theory is that the ley lines are causing more things to be. We're going to use the term awakened because it's a good term. Awakened than probably we would normally find in an area this small.
I mean, from the research I did back on the mainland, I think that's fairly typical. No?
Yes, but because we have 2, does that double the amount? Does it exponentially make it bigger? Exponentially. Okay, again, that's just a theory. Grumble, sits back down at their book exponentially under their breath. but very
Right.
loudly.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking that there's definitely something going on with that because obviously there's a large population of awakened creatures here, and well, with the ley lines, I can imagine that it must have some significance.
Well, I mean, so far all we've found is the parrots and, well, possibly the monster in the jungle. And someone else goes, and the iguana. Okay, but the iguana are harmless so far. Okay, and some iguana. And possibly a few bugs that we don't believe exist anywhere else and are unsure of if they
A lot of
awaken
this seems to be
or.
mounting up here. To be honest, did you keep adding things on top of everything else?
But
We
the
do need to be
birds
made
are
aware
the
of these
biggest
things,
problem. The birds are the biggest problem, and we try to clear those out of areas before they cause too much of an issue. We've just had some problems lately. They're very angry about the one area.
All
We're not
right.
sure why, but they're very angry about it.
Yes,
We
I can
don't
imagine they
know if
would
we
be.
should just get rid of them.
Does anybody have a map?
Mm, mm, they start looking around and then they find a map. Yes.
Right. I will put the map on the table and draw it out, and I will then draw the ley lines as best as I can from what I remember. Right. So this area that the pirates are particularly worried about, it wouldn't happen to be right here, would it? Between the, I'll point at the location where the two ley lines cross.
No, no, no. I mean, that's closer to where probably the monster in the jungle is. But the birds are much more, and they'll circle over here where the building stuff is, which is near a ley line, but not where they meet.
Right.
And it
Okay.
just seems that they like this spot because there's some other area that's also on a ley line, which has got some buildings and stuff, and they weren't nearly as mad over there.
So you're saying that this quote unquote monster in the jungle is near this area here, and I will draw a circle around it. Potentially,
Which would be where
if
the
it
ley lines
exists.
meet. We believe so, yes. But we're not getting because they're dead. Because they're dead. Yes, I know, but I'm trying to be nice. We're not getting a lot of information back because no one's surviving to come back that would have the information. But we did make steps. Nobody goes anywhere near that region without, guards. Because we're not trying to lose our scouts. That's not the point.
Makes sense. Oh yes, question 2. If this whole project is going to work, I need to just get some things in my head that I understand.
Okay.
Right. You see these buildings here, and I will point out the buildings on the map of the colony.
Okay.
Right. Do you
Yeah.
see the arrangement they're being built in?
Mm. Yeah, but the communities, yes. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just going to draw a line in between each one of these, and I want you to tell me if you notice anything.
Oh, Kellen. So 2 of them look kind of confused still. 2 or so of them look like, yeah, hey, that's making, oh. And one of them seems to be like, y'all didn't already notice that? Like any other group, you guys. From the one guy who's like, well, yeah, of course, to the people like, wait, I never realized that, to the 2 people who still don't understand it even after you draw it out. Because, remember,
So
people are put where they want to learn, so not everybody's as good.
I will look up at the guy who apparently knew it already. So, given that this is a thing, why is this a thing?
Oh, easy enough. And they take out some parchment paper and they start sketching a pattern. And the more that they sketch the pattern, the more you see like the beginnings of what the buildings. And then he starts sketching more and more of this intricate pattern and then says, shield.
Yes,
Do you?
I do.
Mm. And he starts going, "You see this, and see how it kind of reminds you of Shield."
I can
Now,
see
what
that.
if
Yes.
it wasn't a flat shield? What if it was more like a bubble of protection? You see how when we do this and we curve these lines, you know,
Okay.
we're talking about teaching the military a more personal version of this.
That makes sense.
Would you like to learn the spell?
I know shield. It's fine.
Well, but it's not shield exactly, because shield only gives you a front, like a shield.
Right.
This is more like a bubble, or at least
So,
like a half circle, like a dome. Like think of it
so
like a dome.
like a barrier.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes. And you see he starts actually pointing at other parts of it going and see like this is a lot like, and then if you look here, see how that ties in with.
I can see that, but why
But
would you
yes,
want to
it's
put a
something to see
barrier
like,
around the entire colony?
oh, in case someone tries to attack us. It'll be our first
Oh,
line of defense.
okay.
London never even thought of this. We know what we're doing here.
Huh. And whose decision was that, by the by?
Now that gives you a kind of an actually blank look. He's not exactly sure whose decision it was. He was told by so and so, who was told by, so he doesn't actually know who started that.
Right, given the circle he's drawn out, so now that I can actually see it,
Mhm.
let me ask you a pertinent question. Would it be possible to change this circle just very slightly so that the barrier doesn't keep things from getting in, but keeps things from getting out?
So you're asking the guy this, or you're asking the GM?
I'm asking the GM because I'm looking at it.
Well, give me your magical theory.
I will. Man, your dog is
Bastion
growling.
is angered at your question.
Your dog is growling.
He's
I'm scared.
talking. He has a chatter that sounds like a growl, which is kind of hilarious because people are like, "Oh, she's growling," and then they'll notice her whole body is wiggling happily. It's just that's her chatter. I'm
Huh.
doing the door, you bossy thing. Go. She
Right,
just wanted
so
to know.
this is a good time for some karma because I do want to know this.
You do want to
Eh,
know this, huh?
I do want to know this, yes. Right. Okay, so that's 12, 17, 17 plus 7, which is 24.
24 is a good roll. So technically, yes.
Hmm. You know something?
Currently, how it's being built, it is being built as they showed you. But could you technically change that? Yes.
Would it be easy to do?
Without moving buildings or adding buildings, if they stick with how things are supposed to be built, no,
Right.
it would not be easy.
Okay, so we can at least put that to bed because there's nobody like moving buildings anywhere.
No, I mean, like at this point, no. Like nobody seems to be moving the buildings. Without moving the buildings, it would be rather difficult to change because you would be trying to change the pattern without changing the pattern.
But what we do
Now, if
know
you
is that
change
it's
the
not
pattern,
complete yet, is it?
nope, it is not. I mean,
And
they're
is it
very
possible?
quickly in the way.
And is it possible to build it from now on so that it does that?
Technically, yes.
We need to keep
But
an eye
they're
on
still
that.
really early. I'm not saying that that's what they're doing. I'm just saying that technically, yes, they're still rather early in this. So
So this spell going around the colony, would this be powered by the ley lines?
there seems to be some debate on that. Like they seem to think that the ley lines can keep it charged, but they don't think the ley lines will automatically activate it. They think that they're going to have to do some sort of ritual to activate it.
Right.
And
But
then
once
the ley lines
activated it,
power.
once activated, could it be kept activated?
With the ley lines, yes.
Hmm.
At least that's their belief.
Noted. It's
Because that way
probably
it's a constant and keep everybody safe if they need to.
just remember that there's a very fine line between safety and indenture. For example, if going forward you made some changes like say this to it, it could keep everybody in. Be very
They all
careful that
seem
you.
to be like, but why would anyone do that?
That's an excellent question. And if you're getting orders to make this from higher up, I suggest you pay attention to them.
I don't want to say they seem confused, but they seem a little confused. Like, why orders higher up to keep building or you mean higher up to build it so that it would keep people in, but no one would ever do that.
Well, I hope not. But the fact is that this idea of building this circle has come from somewhere, and none of you know where it's come from. I would like to know that.
Well, I mean, but it's they still don't know who, but they seem a little more. Maybe we should pay attention when they give us orders.
Because
Gonna say,
as magical military, it's my job to keep this colony safe, right?
well, I mean, yeah.
So you have to remember that threats come from everywhere, and we have to be paying attention to what we do.
I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, pretty much anybody could join. What if a bad person joins? Well,
Exactly, right?
so now they're having this debate on whether or not there should be more stringent rules to get into the colony. Because, bad people could be getting in.
Nonetheless, magic, as you know, is delicate and dangerous sometimes. So if you get these orders, maybe try and dissect them a little.
See, now they
Just
have a lot to think about, and they need tea for thinking that hard.
that does sound like a good idea. Let's all have tea.
That's a solution, right? When you don't have a good solution. Now we just have to all go have tea.
But yeah, this gives me some things to report back to the group with.
And you may do so.
I will do so after tea. So I will return after I have drunk some tea and say, wow, their magical division just seems to be doing what they're told. And unfortunately, they don't really know who's giving the orders. Is anyone there? Are we all muted?
I'm muted, but that's, just talking and being good.
That does seem to point to the fact that the real problem with this place is who's funding it. and what their actual intentions are. The people here
Oh,
appear
yes.
to be happy, and
Happy and willing to follow orders without really questioning them.
mm,
Now, that magical circle we talked about earlier, the one that surrounds the entire colony, or is built from the colony, it's really meant to create a barrier. Now, the people making it seem to think that this is to ward off outside threats. Yes, but with just a small change in its construction, you could build it to keep everyone in instead. And I am not convinced that they are entirely well, since they don't know who's giving the orders, I'm not convinced that they wouldn't notice.
hmm,
No, to be fair, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen,
haven't.
but certainly it's something that could quite easily.
With that new information, what are you guys up to?
Hoping I'm not the only one here.
No, Morgana is pondering the right course for action on our actual job.
Yep.
Is the spell geared towards? Hold on. Brad wrote stuff.
Yeah.
Now, physical threats or astral or both? Well,
Could be both, right?
you didn't actually ask that question.
I mean,
You can
I
match.
was looking at it, so what was it?
They believe it will help keep out both.
Right.
Whether or not it truly works like they want, I mean, you can see that they have sound magical theory. The idea of having to cast something to activate it makes sense. The idea that they can connect it to the ley lines to power it also makes sense.
My only thing about it is that, like, it's a circle in construction. It could easily turn out to be something that's not what they think it is.
Yes. I mean, it is, when you look at the plans, it looks like what they're saying goes with what the plan is. It doesn't, like, it's not a, nope, obviously that just sets fire to everything. No. Like, it's nothing like that. Could it be tweaked and used differently? Well, yes, but can't any spell.
Okay,
Pretty
I'm back.
much.
Matter of fact, if you think about it, they could possibly keep the exact same location and just change the spell.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
What would make it that much different from in versus out? Other than probably the intent of the spell.
Yep.
So I
As
have a
far as,
thought.
okay.
Given this would require knowledge of ley lines and the advanced magical knowledge, these would be things that would have to have been known about a long time ago and have very advanced knowledge of magic. What creatures, or I should really just say who, do you think on Earth would have that sort of knowledge? I can think of two potentials.
Dragons?
Dragons?
Or
Dragons, because
fairy.
and
Existed.
immortal elves.
You guys know that immortal elves exist. Because I don't believe that would be common knowledge.
I mean, we know dragons exist.
Yes.
Dragons exist. But as far as you guys know, elves all popped up about the same time you all popped up. Unless there's something that I am unaware of that happened.
There are rumors of immortal elves existing.
Yeah, but that's just ridiculous. Don't be silly.
It's just rumor.
Granted, but given that anything is possible. But more to the point, with the first suspicion, there's a monster in the woods. Which of those do you think sounds more like a monster in the woods? And which of those would probably have enough money to fund a colony?
But isn't the money coming in from outside? So I suppose it's probably selling gold it's sleeping on and...
Okay, so let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something right now, right? See if this is a dragon behind this. We're doing our job and we're going away.
Wait. What's Waymont's opinion on if it's an immortal elf and not a dragon?
That's ridiculous. Don't be. I mean, come on.
Okay. If it's a dragon, we're doing our job. We've done our job. We're going away. If it's an immortal elf, it's silly. Got it. Okay.
That's my opinion, yes.
But again, of the two, as I said, I'm throwing them out there because possibilities. We can't rule anything out in this day and age. But of the two, which sounds more like a monster in the woods?
I mean, I think if there was a dragon around, people would know about it.
Unless it's killing anybody who gets close enough.
So is this dragon just really interested in eating Boojum? Like, ha ha ha, I collected you all here and I can eat you? Like...
Tasty boojum, I guess.
No, I'm thinking you mentioned that there's going to be some sort of a ritual required to get the spell activated. I'm thinking that's going to require the boojums and the higher magical potential. Or perhaps the dragon simply wants more people with higher magical potential as servants.
Also possibilities.
Maybe it's just hoarding Boojum.
Maybe that's part of its hoard. Who knows?
Yeah.
Boojum hoard. That happens.
It's not a thing that's impossible.
I mean, it's more likely than immortal elves.
Yes, it's more likely than immortal elves.
So, what are you guys going to do?
Do we kidnap Edward? Or do we...
Could.
fulfill our contract by being the people who deliver his first letter back and make sure that he writes regularly.
Yeah, just like get him to send the letter back. Go home.
We can report what we found to our superiors. They seem as interested in this place as we are, which I think is the main reason we were sent here.
Oh yeah, of course.
To gain information, and I don't think we are. We know an awful lot more about this place here, and I'm.
You guys at least want to go with the awakened parrots first, right?
I don't know, do we? They seem to have it in hand.
Morgana does not need a new hat. She has no interest in fighting pirates.
And they're not paying us.
They're not paying us to fight pirates.
All right.
We unionized investigators.
So we had all the leaders and everything identified at the meetings last night because we saw them with the black ribbons and all that. Have we seen
Well,
them like out and about anywhere else?
Yeah, there seems to be. I mean, I wouldn't say a huge proportion because you have to work up the chain to get that, but with the ones that were at the different meetings and the few you've seen elsewhere, you've seen probably a dozen or so. There was even a black ribbon up in the he's the one who knew that yes, it makes a pattern and was showing Weymont.
Would it not be reasonable to like just go and, I don't know, ask who's funding this?
You could. I'm not stopping anybody from anything.
I'm not sure anybody here knows.
Somebody's gonna know.
Oh, me.
Like, who's in charge here? Like, really in charge, I mean.
Yeah, who's funding it? Who's sending the plans? That's the sort of question that might lead us to having a lot of trouble, and, well, we should probably make sure we got Edward's letter before we get into that much trouble, so if we have to leave the island quickly, we've got it.
Sure.
Were the people in charge at the meetings, were they the same people that went from meeting to meeting, or was it different people from the same groups?
Different people in slightly different groups. Like they had someone from the engineering. You had the port group had an engineering person. The one that was near where Edward. The other meeting had someone that was actually a construction person, not an engineer. So, but they were following the same agenda.
But they weren't the same people.
Nope, not the same people.
I was wondering, because if we happen to have a dragon who was in human form or Boojum form or whatever, and they were cavorting among the populace, they would be in a position of power.
I mean, that is a question. There's got to be somebody in charge. Who's in charge?
And they would have, well, I'm thinking if it was a dragon, they would have the ability to just jump between meeting to meeting.
Yeah, but like, I'm not. I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that it's a dragon.
I hope it's not a dragon.
They're always dragging us into their business.
Right. Anyway, well, like I said, it's a bit of a stretch, but like, okay. Even assuming it was, like, who's in charge? Like, who? Like, I don't think it's such a bad question to ask. Who is actually running the show here?
I think it's a very good question to ask. I'm just not sure how people react to such question.
I mean, isn't it reasonable? Like, has no one already asked this?
Who's signing the paychecks?
Yeah.
Aren't any paychecks. Nobody's getting. They're all fed and housed, and they have education, and everything's provided. It's a utopia. You don't get a paycheck in a utopia.
Well,
Those
somebody's going to
silly
be paying
billies.
for the supplies, is more what it means.
Oh, no, that's true. Well, I'm not saying that there's not a single source of financing. I'm just saying there's no paychecks.
Yeah, but like someone's got to be leading here. Someone's got to be actually giving the instructions, have the plan of the colony, and be setting it out. You don't just get. I mean, this is not a communist utopia.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
It's certainly looking that way, but the current funding is coming from somewhere.
No, that is true. Finding the right persons to ask might be more difficult because most of the people you've met They don't have any idea.
That's because they're all silly bellies.
I don't
That's
think
because-
they- I don't think they
It's
have
because-
much inclination to find out.
That's it. They went from being in overcrowded and areas that were not necessarily clean or healthy to someplace where they said, you have an apartment and maybe you have a roommate, but you're not sharing it with 2 Irish families, right?
Right?
Gift
There-
horses and mouths springs to mind.
No,
Mhm.
and if you do the education, no one's saying as long as you can afford it. When you came over, they didn't say you have to go work X. They said, what's your skill set? What do you want to do? Would you like to learn something new? To them, they're not asking questions because why would they?
Right, but we can ask them, and they can then figure it out.
So they have most of the people you guys have talked to would have no idea. So you're looking for probably somebody who's been here for a long, long time, closer to the beginning, or probably
Yes.
have the black ribbon. Like
Right.
the best
Preferably both.
breed would be ribbon who've been here a long time.
Yes.
Good luck.
Mm.
Because I don't know how you're going to ask that without being. Well, actually, there are ways. Some of you have access to records, so it's just a matter of time and not getting caught and having a good reason for why you'd want to know that. But you guys could do it.
I've got a good reason for why I'd want to know that. Want to make sure everything's above board. It's not.
Yeah.
Flat out, because it's not.
I mean, if someone tries to assassinate me for doing that, then we
No.
know we're on the right track.
Then we'll know.
Yeah.
So, while waiting to see if Weymont is assassinated, what are you guys going to do?
Like, I'd
Are you
rather
gonna get
not
the-
be assassinated, so a bit of help here would help, you know?
Just tell me what you're doing.
Morgana
fine.
will probably make a visit to Edward and suggest that he check to see if he has written to his mother yet. But actually, she'll find out from the rest of the greeters how one sends word to one's family that you are safe in your new home.
Where's the post box?
Because they seem to send people who would know such questions. Because Morgana can't be the only person who would, if she was coming here properly, would want to inform her family.
Sorry. So, generally speaking, any letters leaving the island are sent back on any boats that showed up. So, like if they get a delivery of stone, wood, whatever, they can
Yeah.
send letters that way. If there's a group of people on a boat, they can send letters back that way. It also depends slightly on where you want the letter to go. Because boat isn't heading sort of that direction. But if
Well,
you
I know
know
where I'd like the letter to go, not into the sea. How
Yeah.
about that?
if they hear you, they're like, oh no, silly. We try to make sure correspondence gets back to the families. That way they don't worry. Also, sometimes we hope that if the family is also like us, that they might consider joining. We find that it makes for people to be happier when their loved ones are closer.
Makes sense.
Yes.
But yes, if you are from Timbuktu and they don't have any boat going that way, it's a lot longer of a process. The best they can do is send it to something like the UK
Yeah.
from England and have it sent out from there.
Yep.
So, but nope, they don't throw them out in the ocean. That's silly. But as far as did he write it, he was going to, but then they had that meeting and he was kind of riled up. He thinks he wants to help go and try to get the parrots to go away. Although he's not in the military group, but he's wondering if they'd let him because he owes those darn birds. One of them took a of his arm.
I'd be careful. You already have one scarf, and I'd be very careful about that.
Well, I mean, he's seen them in action. He swears that some of them attacked from the front, so the one that got him from the side had a better chance. And he knows they're just birds and they're stupid. But he swears that they did it on purpose, that they distracted him and then side-shot him on purpose.
And it certainly would be unique behavior in the animal kingdom, from what I've heard.
Well, exactly. Isn't that silly? Birds don't work together to attack people.
Sure they do. Crows do it all the time.
Well, now he has a new appreciation for, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Crows
Yeah,
are
and they
incredibly intelligent.
run around with swords and gas you. Wait, that's a possibility? Damn it. Birds are evil.
I mean, I've actually heard that, you know, if you like injure a crow or something on purpose, other crows will come get you.
And
He
if
will
you
look at you and go, that is truly terrifying.
and if you feed crows, they will remember and be like bros with you.
It's true.
Maybe
nice
we
to
should
crows.
just feed them. No one's thought of that. What if we fed them? Maybe then they'd like us.
It's got to be worth a try.
We should tell them. So he goes to the foreman because that's the best person he knows to. And the foreman's like, well, that's great. Well, no, I've heard that crows actually, you can do that with crows. Huh. So he goes to go tell somebody else. So now this is going up the chain of, can we just feed them and see if that will get them to behave? Now some debate.
Fox have trained attack parrots defending them.
You've created a whole new debate on the how to get them away versus slaughtering them all. What if we feed them and turn them into pets?
I don't think they'd appreciate being turned into pets for a weekend.
No, but the thought process of if we feed it and they're nice, then they're like pets is very much how people think. It's not right, per se, just very normal. But you have created a whole new line of what to do with the parrots.
Well, we should feel good about ourselves then.
You should.
We
There
made a
were
positive difference.
But they trained awakened parrots.
So these people came to the Caribbean getting attacked by parrots, and not one of them thought Polly want a cracker?
None of them are pirates. How would they know Polly wants a cracker without being a pirate?
Because that's like
I don't
the most
think you need
common
to be
expression.
I don't think you need to be a pirate for that.
What they need and they don't really have is some sort of zoological behavioralist type of person, of which they've not attracted one of. That's what they need. So they need a zoologist.
You know what?
See, eventually, they're going to find out that Polly does indeed want a cracker.
It's not the cracker you thought.
Yes.
It's never the one you thought. All right. So he has not written the letter, but he swears that there's no meeting tonight. He's definitely going to write that tonight, especially now that he can possibly even has sort of helped. In the letter, he'll have a much bigger part of this, by the way. In the maybe we can feed the parrots that are problematic.
Well, Morgana and her guys, Annabelle, will offer to assist him writing the letter, if he would like.
And Writing the letter?
Yes.
I can write. I got that far in
I,
school.
I thought you might want a hand with some of the getting the right wording to make sure your mother isn't worried, rather than.
I
It
mean,
gets
you
me more
possibly
suspicious if
know
it's
more
someone
about
else's hand.
sure. So with that, he'll let you help. Basically, what he was going to write is, "I'm fine. I'm learning lots of good skills, and I'm helping, stop the bad parrot problem."
I,
It wasn't
I will.
much of a lot.
Morgana will encourage you to add more detail on the ground that you know what mothers can be like. If you're vague, they just think you're trying to hide something from them.
Well, if it's too wordy, she's going to think somebody else wrote it. But sure. So now it's like 10 sentences instead of 3.
It's better.
Better.
I will also
Okay.
kindly offer to make sure it gets delivered to the post box to the ship, since I'm usually in the port for him, so that I can oversee the delivery of it. It doesn't end up thrown in the ocean.
You get a good smile, and he's actually has the look of someone when he matures out could be a handsome young man.
Yeah.
And there's something in that smile that's actually naively charming at this point. But he tells you thank you so much for making sure. He really doesn't want to worry his mom, but also didn't want to live with his mom forever.
It's a careful balancing act. I think all of us have to worry our mothers somewhat. I know my mother worries terribly about me. Entirely unnecessarily, but.
Here.
What's that?
How did you break the news that you were coming here to your mom? Like, I absolutely chickened out and just left in the middle of the night, which is probably really wrong.
Oh, I sent her a letter saying I would be overseas for some time.
Oh, so she doesn't know. Isn't she just going to worry about you being overseas? Like, there are pirates and brigands.
I intend to let her know everything at some point soon. Plus, I have an elder brother that she spends most of her time worrying about rather than me.
Oh. As an only child, I didn't have that, but I have a friend, and I mean, his younger sister gets ignored all the time. Always. The mom, the dad, both. It's always about him. Seems kind of dumb because she's pretty smart. I wrote her a letter. Don't tell my mom. If my mom comes out that I wrote her a letter before I wrote my mom, well, I'll never live that.
Morgana will work around to finding out this girl's name, just out of pure curiosity.
Oh, it's something like Olivia, something or other. But yeah, he'll give over the name.
Yeah, Morgana will file that away to go and check on her as well, just in case.
He has this look. If you ask one more question, you will find out, and I'm sure you will think of it, that he's writing said girl in the hopes that she comes out here.
Yeah. I think asking if she's Boojum is a thing, yes.
You can figure out the why all on your own. You probably need no help. Yeah. Especially as he's considering that he's becoming very established out here. In, the month or so he's been out here. All right. You now have a letter that you can send back to Mom.
Excellent.
What do you guys want to do?
You know what? I got a theory. I'm going to test it. So whenever I get a chance for lunch or whatever, I'm going to take probably some bread and maybe like a mango or something, depending on what they have fed for us. I'm gonna go close to the woods, not close enough where I would be encroaching on their territory, but close enough where the parrots would, just barely notice me, and I'm gonna toss some food out, and then I'll step away.
They will come and they will nudge at the food, but they do not seem interested. But while you're out there, no perception necessary because you're actively watching these things. You'll notice that they do seem to eat bugs, small snakes, mice,
So they're carnivorous.
carnivorous,
Okay.
which is not common for parrots.
Do I have any sort of meat or anything that I could get a hold of?
Sure.
And try that. So I'll give that a shot.
And a couple of them poke at it, and then one starts to eat it. And as soon as one starts to eat, you get 2 or 3 other ones who are pulling on it, because that is what birds do. I've seen birds, and that seems to be what they do.
Okay. And they should hopefully notice that it was me throwing it out. So if there's any possibility that they might take a friendly attitude, they'll know who it was.
One hops closer to you and stares at you rather intently.
Do I have any more? If I have anything else, I will toss it in a piece.
Sure, why not? You came ready. That's your lunch, but you came ready.
I'm out to test a theory.
So you throw a piece at it?
Yes. Not like
It
directly, like I'll toss it on the ground.
Near it, right? Not like in its face.
Yeah.
Not
Not expecting it to like catch it and do a trick.
Not yet. It picks it up, flips it, starts to eat it. You see 2, 3 other birds, maybe not even necessarily the ones that ate the first piece, like try to rush over, but it swallows it before they can get to it. And if a parrot can look smug, it manages to look smug at the other ones. Now you've got like 3 or 4 near you. Probably 6 foot out.
All right. Well, I'm going to be running out of supplies, so I will toss the last of what I have, and I'll toss it, a bit farther away, and then I will back away.
You back away. They seem to follow for a little bit, but the closer you get to the construction stuff like that, they fade off.
Yeah, you better run.
Take that. The doom.
It's fine. I've got the. They know that I fed them. I'm gonna make a pattern of this.
So over the next couple of days, what you guys are deciding what to do?
Sorry, you broke up there.
So you're gonna feed them a couple of times a day over the next couple of days, where you guys decide what to do?
I'll probably do it, like whenever I'm at lunch, I'll take some of it and go over and feed them.
So you have the letter. You guys can leave.
I think we need to maybe wait a couple of days for things to develop a bit more.
Okay.
Would anybody else agree with that?
Well, we'd cause a lot of suspicion if we just dipped immediately. I mean, we've only been here a few days.
Sure do.
Yeah, of course.
We need to be present but lay low and take a couple days so that when we do leave, we can leave quietly and gracefully.
Quietly, gracefully. I mean, we are 90% elves, so we can do that.
Sure. That all seems to be fine. That all works. All right. So everyone's just kind of do their jobs over the next couple of days.
Yep.
Yep.
It's worth finding out sort of what they expect us to actually do. Well, we're
Looking for
here.
tentacles.
I mean, probably not.
No. I'm going to be doing my job and looking for tentacles in the
It's-
figures.
It's metaphorical tentacles.
Yes.
Well, can you do a couple of rolls to see if you find out any more? Morgana, they expect you to help greet and sort people and find out what they want and where to put them.
Yep.
And it does become slightly harder the more people they've had. And because, well, let's say we don't need any more musicians. We already have a bunch of musicians. So sometimes it takes a bit of, why don't we try this other skill set that's more useful without forcing them? They try to give them some more options. Be like, we're full on, I can paint buildings. Can you do something else? But it's never like forced on. If they just want to play music, then, guess we'll have an orchestra, right?
Well, it'd be nice to have a philharmonic.
Nigel, they seem to have decided where they want the hospital. They're expecting you to help draw up blueprints.
Okay, well, I can civil engineer that.
Yep. Weymont, they actually want you on the team to help with what are we going to do about the parrots. Although they have heard that there's a possibility maybe they could be fed. Like, can we tame awakened parrots? Is that a thing?
Well, I don't know. Why don't you try and bring them food?
Well, that's a possibility, but they don't want anyone just out there doing that. They want, like...
Well, it's a little late for that.
They don't know that, though. Like, that is true. Nigel's already doing this, but they don't know Nigel's doing it.
Like, if they are awakened and intelligent, surely we don't want to, like, crowd them with tons of people. So maybe send out a small scouting party to stand on the edge and, like, I don't know, toss them some food here and there. See what happens.
And you're in charge of that. So you go pick 3 or 4 guys to go with you. Or girls. Or if they don't care. Peoples. 3 or 4 more. The military and or the magical military. Preferably the magical military, because obviously if you know something about magic, you're totally going to be somewhat better at feeding parrots. I don't know. Didn't say it was logical.
Yep.
The Navy, surely people with naval experience would be better with parrots. They're closer to pirates, right?
Military. I don't know. I'm not a birdologist.
Ornithologist.
Ornithologist, yeah, I was thinking that. But...
Magical military is going to be obviously better dealing with magical parrots.
Can't fault that logic.
You could very well go home with a carnivorous parrot. Yes.
I mean,
I'm a mage. Familiar?
I was about to say, technically I'm a mage. Mages have familiars.
You could find a worse familiar than an awakened parrot. That could be cool. All right. August, do you want to give me some rolls to see if you get any deeper into possibly who?
I dropped 3 into the chat for you, but I can say them out loud if you like.
I'll go look. Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry. There you are.
No worries.
With a few days and some decent rolls, closest you've gotten is that whoever it is in London.
Okay.
You can trace it back to there's a bank that's coming from the same bank account in a bank in London, which helps. It doesn't necessarily fix everything, but it does give you somewhat of direction.
Yeah, I will share that knowledge quietly with the rest of the group at some point when I get a chance. Is that? Are you updating the notes, Joel?
I am, yes.
Okay, cool.
That's good because
You're an anonymous koala.
I think you're an anonymous kangaroo.
Cool. There's also an anonymous otter in there somewhere.
That's probably me.
right now my speaking abilities suck.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was just the reason I was stuttering a bit was because I was reading you updating the notes.
Well,
But yeah, August will share that information with the group when he gets a quiet moment.
see, this is part of what I love about you guys. I don't even have to say things like, since I broke my arm, typing up the notes is going to be stupid. No, you guys want it. You don't need me. It's awesome. So, does not discount. Does not discount a dragon. Technically, no, that does not. Or an immortal elf. If those. They're not just leprechauns. Wait, do we leprechauns?
That'd be a
Did you
type
see
of
the
spirit,
leprechaun up
so,
in
yeah.
the tree?
Wait, or like Weymont.
Everybody say
leprechaun.
leprechaun, say yeah.
From Weymont, what's more likely, an immortal elf or a leprechaun?
I mean, I don't know. We know that leprechauns exist.
Is that actually a thing? You know that?
We haven't covered the expanded British Isles yet.
Well, alrighty
But-
then.
Probably.
That's Joel's pet project.
Yo,
So-
leprechauns, get on it.
It's
Well, we
probably got a
haven't
different-
got there yet.
It's probably got a different name, and using the wrong one will annoy the Irish. But yeah, we can have leprechauns listed as a British name for them.
Big brownie, but green instead of brown.
I was thinking of a goblin in a hat, but you know.
Brownie but green? Oh, greenie? What?
Khaki?
Look. Things that I know about fairy stuff, but I learned from other games and mythology. So a green one would probably still be okay. Red caps, even though there's a name, it's a colorful name. Red caps. Those are bad. Those are typically bad.
Well, yes, red caps are bad.
They're typically bad.
Red caps
And
do
it's-
exist. We have them
Same.
covered.
Yeah.
So in so they can be pretty atrocious, and a small army of them coming on to take back a changeling tends to upset all the other changelings. I often know that.
So anyway,
Something-
the fact is that if red caps exist, we can kind of sort of extrapolate that leprechauns probably do too. So, we good.
We're good. So the hierarchy is dragons, leprechauns, the parrots, then maybe immortal elves, but nobody believes in them.
I mean, come on.
I know. Before immortal elves, the monster in the middle of the island, please. As long as it's not
True.
some sort of mist monster, we're okay. Or a polar bear.
So,
We're a bit far south for a polar bear.
are you guys going to play at Islanders? And what is your exit strategy?
We had a sneak out boat prepared, didn't we? Or that was being organised for us.
Absolutely is feasibly organized for you.
That
First, a
would
quick question. Are we going to hang around long enough where I could potentially go up a rank in my profession? Because if
Who
we're
does
hanging,
go up a rank anyway?
because if we're hanging around that long, I could potentially pick up animal skills before we leave.
Actually,
Brad,
Andy,
Polly wants a cracker and Brad wants a parrot. Are you guys going to stick around for how long would Brad's character need for this? Week,
Listen,
2 weeks?
there's
Yeah.
30 parrots on this island. We can all have a parrot.
It would be a week.
Okay, so basically, Nigel wants to know if you guys want to hang out for a week.
Honestly, for giving us a few days to hang around, that doesn't sound unreasonable. I don't think, but I leave it to the group.
I mean, sure.
Actually, quick question, Andy. How is the island about people leaving?
Wonderful question. If you ask around politely, quietly,
As a greeter, I'd figure it is, knowing how we would organise such a thing would be part of my role in case somebody doesn't find
Why
their
would-
place here. As unlikely as that sounds.
nobody's left. Why would anybody want?
No.
We all came here to build society that we can be happy and proud in and raise our kids in. Why would we even leave?
Well, there may be matters that somebody needs to leave. Well, if they have non-Boojum family back home, they may need to go back for, if there is, some.
Well, I mean, I guess if that was the case, then they could.
Good. I just think it would be something that would be worth us, even if we don't need to use it. It is just, a matter of knowing how to organise it. And as we grow larger, the ability to have people go out to act as representatives would be very helpful for us as a nation.
Basically, the general gist you get is, well, I guess it would be a lot like the mail then. They would leave on a boat that's heading back in the direction they want to go. But they honestly don't seem to have put any thought into the idea of why would they leave.
Well, Morgana will moot the thought and offer a selection of reasons and do her best to aid in her time there in sorting out their procedures.
Which they would love having help, and your character is probably really good at talking and asking questions, and even possibly good at helping them hone the questions in better.
Yeah.
More quickly find what people would, or possibly even, this sounds terrible, but to convince some people that they don't need the 7,000th musician. That maybe they could do even more society than play.
Yeah, because people can do other jobs and be a musician for a start.
But yes, I mean, they do. There are people who do leave. That is true. Brad has a point. People who do leave, like getting supplies, or like the people who give the speeches in London, they occasionally come back out and then go back that way. So, but like just to leave, well, that doesn't.
Oh, no.
Like, who would not want to live here? And to be honest and fair on their side, you've seen some of the not so great parts of like London. And even New York has some pretty scuzzy areas. So you can see some of the why you might want to stay. Opportunity, education, feeling like you have an actual voice in the government. So you guys are going to spend a week at least. Are you going to all just sneak off in the night and get on the getaway boat? Is there anything else you want to do before you leave?
Well, technically speaking, if we were to be totally mercenary about it, our job's done. We
Very
go
true.
home.
Yeah.
That's true. And you all left River there until River comes back.
Collecting information.
Undercover information gatherer or something. Because she won't want to leave.
This was going to be a difficult one for her, I think. In the wanting to explore the region that would be more dangerous, I think she would have drug you people out there. Is
Yeah.
she not here? And she may not want to leave, and then there would be the whole, do we leave her? How do we deal with that? But she's not here, so your job is indeed technically done. It is a matter of what you guys want to do.
I mean, we know something weird is going on, but it might just be above our pay grade.
Sorry, Joel, that's terrible. Joel wrote in the hey, who's watching, River is the monster in the woods.
Ultimate twist.
What was that stupid movie producer who always had some crazy twist?
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan, yes.
Yep. What a there's a robot
What's the
chicken
twist?
about it. What a twist! Yeah. Now I have to figure out some way to write that River's the monster, and that even though stuff happened before River was there, did it?
Went back in time, clearly.
It doesn't need to make sense as long as it's shocking.
Oh well, it would be shocking. So, are you guys all just gonna hop on a boat, never to be heard of or seen again, which will be very kind of weird?
What do you guys want to do? Because honestly, I am easy, Ozzy. If we want, our job is technically done. If we want to go home just now, we can go home. Do you want to investigate this craziness that's going on here?
Also, Brad had a suggestion that he would like to tell your target that
I think Morgana probably will. Because it's been bothering her.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell him?
The truth.
That we were sent by his. Particularly if we're planning to just leave by sneaky methods. That helps on that front because then we don't get stopped by doing official methods. But
Okay.
tell him that we were hired to this place,
To
but
find him. Yeah.
to find him, make sure he was okay, get word back to his family, or bring him back if he wanted to leave. And
But she doesn't. Nice knowing you. See ya.
Yeah, and just but be aware that if he needs to leave, he has friends, and he doesn't have to feel he has to stay here forever. But equally, we're not going to drag him back to London if he's happier here. Morgana may use slightly longer words for it, but
So I'm hearing we're staying a week so that Brad can get a pet parrot. And then somewhere in this week towards the end before you leave, you want to pull him aside and be like, hey.
Yes.
That sound like that's what we're doing?
Back, sorry.
I'd say at first he seems a little hurt because he thought maybe you liked him, but he's not going to say that part out loud. And then he seems kind of, well, I should have figured my mom would do something. Just tell me, Mom, I'm okay.
And I will also promise that I will check on Olivia for him and let her know that he is okay as well.
He kind of beams on that. Tell her that I'm doing really well.
I certainly will.
That's a good for delivering the news. Good diplomacy. So yeah, he takes it overall better than he could have, possibly better than he should have. But you know, Lady Morgana does a really good job of talking you into it's okay. No, really, it's okay.
Yeah.
And I guess with that, you guys sneak off the island in the middle of the night on a boat.
Pretty much.
That's the plan.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We will then. So wait, Brad, did you try to get a parrot?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot here. Just a second. I'm getting the.
Yeah, that's important shit. Like, wait, did Nigel get a parrot? There's
More
important
importantly,
things.
if he does, what are we calling the parrot?
Well, that's
Polly,
Nigel.
obviously.
Like, yeah, I mean, come on.
Nigel's, and second off, I
When-
would say that might be parrots.
We're not slaves to tradition. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
And why not? When it comes to
Because
names, obviously.
Because Morgana's very,
right.
Morgana's very modern.
In a Pathfinder game, he had a crow familiar, and he didn't know what to name it, so I said Brandon, and nobody finished the joke.
What? What?
Bunch of young people, you
Oh.
Kids
whippersnappers,
these days.
right? No extra points for those people. That's fine.
All right. Well, I rolled my animal handling. I got a 10.
Okay. So that's against its mystic defense or its social defense?
I
Social.
believe it's should be social.
It'll beat the social defense. So it's going to come closer. It doesn't seem aggressive, but it is much closer than any of the other ones have ever gotten. It's probably 2 foot in front of you.
All right. Let's see. I'll come prepared for this because I'll have some. I have my workman's gloves anyway. I'll hold up my. I'll have the workman's glove on for like a falconer would do, and hold it out and see if it will land on my wrist.
Wave a piece of meat somewhat nearby to see if it hops up there.
Yeah.
It does. Why not? Why not? Nigel needs a parrot.
And I will hold out a piece of meat for him.
It takes it.
Oh.
And we just have to get Nigel an eye patch.
With
Yeah,
one of
I'm
these
not
parrots,
jumping.
that sort of scarring is inevitable.
I am
Because-
not jumping in between you and the parrot. I am not getting pecked in the face.
No, that's fine.
You can foxtrot Oscar.
I will also
Just
tell
saying.
you that a matter of trying to keep it with you and stuff is going to take some work over the next couple of weeks. I can actually see it being a plus with it being on like the ships and stuff with you, because where's it going to go? Eventually get too far from land for it to leave.
Yeah, so it's going to be a matter of continuing to work with it and improving its attitude.
Yep.
So, but I should at least have it at a neutral attitude now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's a favorable. I'd say neutral to almost favorable, because it's willing to jump up on your arm. And this is right before you're ready to leave, so you probably are going to have to cage it to get it on the ship. However, if you tell them that you need a cage to put one of these parrots in for studying, you probably could, or that you're making you want a cage made and you draw it up and have somebody make the cage so that the education department could study it. No one would think twice. Because they're trying to figure out.
Heck, I'll have access to metal, like rebar and stuff. I can make a cage.
You can make a cage, yes. Either way, I'm just saying the cage part is not too hard.
Yeah, I can scrap that together.
And you can probably just throw meat into the cage and it will probably go in after it and then shut the cage. Yeah. It might be pissed off for a little bit. I would not let it out of the cage for a little bit. Give it meat while it's in the cage, soothing, but I wouldn't let it out until you're away.
Chris will know now, at least I'm thinking of the Michelin web with the shark in the cage.
Yes.
Of course he hates being in a cage. Always trying to get out of the cage, going on about being in a cage. Stop it, Owen!
I mean, to be fair, you have reduced the island's parrot problems by 10%.
Well, that's only this one flock. We don't know that that's all the parrots on the island.
I mean, 30 is a pretty decent amount of parrots.
You know,
Yeah, so...
there's
Oh,
30, so really, this is not even 10% of the problem. But that's okay. Well, no, 1 out of 30, 30, so close to 10%. Yeah, I guess it, no, that would be 3. Anyhow, the point being is
point
guys
being
are
I got a
all-
parrot.
who has a parrot, an awakened
Apparently.
that eats meat, unlike most parrots. Probably has something to do with that awakened thing. At least that's a good guess. Or they're just very weird parrots on that island. I don't know.
I mean, if nothing else, this is definitely worthy of study.
Yes, it is. Even they agreed on that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have you guys travel back on the boat to New York. Like, the boat isn't going to take you all the way back. It'll take you to New York, and you guys get airfare from New York back to London.
We're going to get a news article a few days later saying, Boojum colony explodes or something like that.
Due to removal of parrot.
It dropped into its critical parrot level and exploded. Respawn.
Yeah.
Actually, the big
Awakened
things,
birds demand return of parrot.
4 people disappeared in the middle of the night, and they had no idea what happened to them.
Wait, what disappeared in the middle of the night?
4 people.
You did, you goof.
Oh, we did.
But no one's ever done that before.
The call broke up. I couldn't hear what she said.
Because for right now, until we know whether or not River's going to make any more games, we're going to leave River there. But you 4 all disappeared. When that's never happened. They've never had 4 people disappear without a trace. So that's very concerning.
Except for that one guy. In the woods.
Morgana might have suggested to Edward that if we vanish, he can eventually possibly spread the idea that we were people from outside checking in. But yeah, not that we have any hostile intent, but
All right. Since you have this question, what would you like ticked, Morgana?
I'm paring down. I have many ticks on many of them. Diplomacy, conversation, and flirting are the ones she's trying to progress at the moment in social skills.
I can see that you could be able to tick all those. I mean, surely in a week you've had a conversation, you flirted, and you were diplomatic.
Yep.
Since we're doing
It's
that, sorry?
And just real quick, since we were waiting a week, then we're leaving the next Wednesday, the 25th. That sound correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody else need something else ticked during that week that they might have been doing as part of their island jobs?
Let's see. I could probably tick avoid blow again.
Oh yeah, because you're military training, so sure.
How about dispel magic? Any chance of doing that?
Why not? That would be a good thing for them to practice. You're pretty good at it. You might even be showing them how to do it. So.
Astral sight.
You know, as nervous as you are, probably. I see you looking out. It's like I'm watching you, all of you, whatever you are, out there.
Listen now. I am not even a fraction as nervous as Nigel is. He has astral sight on every time he walks into a room.
I mean, there's some truth to this.
Considering the
makes me
crazy
PC.
crap we've been walking into,
Can I practice
I
a
mean,
couple of?
I
I-
be honest, that's been useful.
I would also like to tick spell casting since I'm a magic military dude.
Sure. August,
Can
And
I
what did
steal
you?
a? Can I steal a couple onto eidetic memory,
Sure.
please? Because
Okay.
I figure he'll be doing that sort of thing whilst looking at all the books and stuff.
Maybe, writing down some stuff for memorizing a few things to write down later.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. That's fine.
I think that's probably likely it for me. That I haven't already ticked because I've used them. Cool.
Well,
Thank
we
you.
all know what I am about that. I'm such a mean taskmaster. Whoa.
No, I'm trying to be good and actually remember to tick things as I use them now.
You're doing great.
So
I think you're doing great.
It's
I'm the only one you have to impress.
fair. But Joel will tell you that it's not a thing that we tend to do in our games.
No.
So it's not something I remember easily, but yeah,
So
I've been managing it for a bit, so it's not too
I
bad.
do it kind of for other games where I don't require people to actually actually tick things, tap it. But I do require things like I'm studying a language rather than just going, okay, now I have 4 new languages.
Mhm.
When did that type of thing. Simply because I think it makes the role play better.
Yeah.
But even that, I don't usually go, well, there's no way you could have possibly ever learned whatever.
Yeah, I really like. It's good point as it promotes the idea that you should be thinking about how you're learning and practicing your skills,
That's it.
which is something that should be encouraged in all games,
I think
rather
so.
than just developing them as a, just carte blanche. It should make sense that you're developing, particularly a game like this. And I quite like the picking up ticks and being able to advance it when you get the right number when you're involved in complicated situations where you don't get any downtime.
Right. And
It's actually quite nice to have a mechanic that actually allows advancement in the middle of an adventure.
Yeah. So there's always that whole, because the way that it read, and Brad can correct me on this, is having the ticks alone still didn't mean you could actually raise it. You still have to find someone to teach you. And I've always thought that was kind of, can't I learn just by practicing the thing?
Oh no, that's the point. Is you need that you do the practice in order to raise it. So you have to have somebody train you for the initial time you get it, or like get training books or whatever.
So for the initial, but after that, you can just get the ticks and move on.
Yeah,
Really, but
after
can you just be like, I want to learn this skill, so I'm gonna go and get some books and read about it and
yes,
try it
yeah,
out myself.
I did. That wasn't in the
Like in
original
real
books.
life.
I did add that for training manuals. So yes, you
And
can do that. And basically, how it functions with the mechanic is you spend time reading the manual to get a tick,
Right.
and that essentially functions as your trainer.
The first time I ran 1879, we ran into that problem. One, finding someone who can train you when you're out adventuring, or like there was somebody, what is it, a Byron where they deal with the not computer but steam computery things.
Oh, engine programming?
In programming, yeah. And they were in the middle of the freaking Congo. Where are we going to learn this? Where are we going to have, So I was letting them use books. And I think
Yes.
it's something that Brad already thought about. And we had talked about it because, yes, otherwise it makes leveling exceptionally hard.
Yeah, that was something that I had wanted to put in originally in just kerfuffles with stuff. So I did write those in. They were in the Fort Alice book just because that was the book that was being published at the time. But yeah,
But yeah,
so they have been added.
goodness.
And that will be put in the main book when we get to. I want to rebalance a lot of that when we get to second edition eventually.
But yeah, no, because I started running the first set of 1879 that I did, 4 years ago, when I ran them. So trust me, yes, no. Having the ability to, I picked up a book to learn something is useful.
Yeah,
I think
well, I did that with forgery on the way over.
You see, I tried very hard to make it so you guys have opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next game is in 2 weeks, which is the 14th. We are all good.
Yep.
Let me have a check.
The next one is July 28th, which is before most of us leave for Gen Con, but should still be good.
Yeah, we should be good for the 14th.
14th,
We
yeah.
might have something on earlier on that Sunday, but we should be good.
Okay, so 14th, everyone's fine, and the 28th?
Fine.
Clear for us.
So we're
Should be
good for the
fine.
We're good for the month. Yay. And like I said, we should have a player next game. You guys are amazing as always. 500 AP. 500 AP sound fair?
Fair.
Ooh.
Oh.
Just making up numbers, it's fine.
Well, we got 700 last time, so, I don't know.
Yes, but you guys didn't fight the spirits and you didn't go after the monster.
True. But we planted seed on how to deal with the powers, which might be helpful. Oh, you're the GM.
Yeah, we kind of just avoided the adventure, honestly. We just went in, did our job, and went home.
How dare we?
No, we did the main quest. We skipped the side quest.
I didn't say you got no points. I just felt like 500 was fair. Greedy Gus's. I have not been stingy with my AP.
Hey, I never said anything.
Well, that's right. Sorry. Everybody but her. The rest of y'all.
I just like getting AP because then I can do more fancy things and get to do more exciting things in your game.
That's
I think I'm going to increase my magical theory, actually, because quite frankly, I've got 8 ticks in it now. Because everybody keeps asking magical theory nonsense.
I'm thinking that now the little community shall have their own division of attack parents. Oh yeah.
Well, I will throw in here with my advancement, I am picking up magical theory as one of my core skills, because darn it, we've done enough of this stuff. I should be able to pick it up, and we kind of need another opinion. I also got animal handling. That's my optional. I'm still figuring out my free skills.
Okay.
But
You guys are great. There you go. That's what. There's no buts. You guys are great.
Given we're leaving River, or at least that's the point, Morgana will make sure River is, encourage her to be safe and send us letters too.
Yes.
Mhm.
So that.
And let us know if she finds anything dubious going on, because we were to help. Because Morgana actually quite likes River.
So we are leaving River. Will we miss her? Do we need someone shot?
We're gonna get one of these parrots showing up as a messenger for us.
I'm just worried she didn't respond the last couple, and I know that she can't make all of them because of work schedule, but this way she's not gone forever. She can come back.
Absolutely.
But if she has a work schedule.
And let's face it, this is probably where her character would want to end up anyway.
Well, yes, that's why I did it. Again,
what?
First is because apparently I don't enjoy total party kills. But I will tell you right now, it is a hindrance apparently to some people. I think with that we should say goodnight to the vast interwebs.
Oh, yeah, I will go ahead and get the stream kicked off. So yes, Thanks very much, everybody, for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.